the drain for the entire show. But I went home, Joan, I slept like 14 straight hours.
Yeah, so I heard.
14 straight hours, and I woke up at like midnight, and I feel great. And I told you people it was allergies. It was not an illness. It wasn't a sickness. I got a little bit of tood from Chris Hand, who I love, because he apparently thought that I was going to work sick. No. Number one, I didn't get sick until I arrived at the radio station. And then I went downhill from there. But number two, it was nothing but an allergy attack. You know what happens, and I'm going to get down to business, is that when the temperature changes, like we just saw, it does mess with my allergies in a big-time way. And I don't know why that is, but it's been that way all my life. So I feel a lot better. And by the way, Joan, I want you to savor this moment.
Okay.
Hey, Joan, this is where I really piss off Sam.
Oh,
hey,
I
Joan,
love this. Go ahead.
I want you to savor this moment.
What is the moment?
Because right now at 5:07 on this Tuesday, Veterans Day of November 11th, it's all about theater of the mind because our stream and our cameras are down.
Oh, yeah. Well, like I just told a listener on the super text line, the gerbils on the wheels, they're a little cold this morning. So things are moving a little slower.
Yes, they are. And so Sam is working at a feverish pitch trying to fix our frozen computers. And I think that I looked over there just a few moments ago, not really having the guts to ask him how it's going. I could just tell by the body language that things were not going well. And so, Sam, please give us an update on our stream. Are we flatlining?
Oh, we're back. I don't know why signing into the computer shuts it down, but, that's just how things work over here at the Redheaded Stepchild station.
See, I love that saying.
But Chris Hand was not the only one taking shots. Coming up at 5:35, if you want, one Matt Murphy.
Oh.
Is everybody... Okay, so... Okay, we'll do it at 5:35. So Murphy Show was also, as I am sleeping... in my sleep-aided slumber, thank you, Rand Paul. We'll get into this. But in my sleep-aided slumber, Murphy Show was bashing on yours truly as well?
He was trying to figure out some things. So
I never in a million... when Murphy Show, he said himself the other day, when he was not feeling well, he said that he thought that he had the vid, COVID.
And he was in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I arrived yesterday feeling fantabulous, and then throughout the morning, I started getting worse and worse. Joan, is that how you remember it? You're the first one that I talk to every single day. If I remember correctly, I don't think I said that I didn't feel well, did I? I don't think I did.
No.
I seem to recall, my recollection was that I started going downhill, like every day, during the show.
Yeah. I noticed that you were so stuffy sounding.
When I first came in to talk to you?
Well, no. Oh, this morning or yesterday?
No. Yesterday morning.
No, you didn't. You sounded fine yesterday morning.
First thing I do, the first thing Joan hears in the morning at work, Joan Jones.
Right.
How are you? And the conversation just spills. The spilling out of my nose didn't happen till about 7, and it got really, whatever. Anyway.
I was thankful I wasn't there for that part of it.
So anyway, Murphy, all right, so I can't wait to hear what Murphy Show was saying about yours truly, knowing that I'm defenseless and sleeping. It's fine, whatever. All right, so you need to send me then. Are we going to be able to do you have? Okay, so.
He's got it.
Just real quickly, I don't want to hold up the show any longer. I'm going to go ahead and play some audio for you folks. We will get the video portion going on. One of the things, as I was sleeping, a whole bunch of MAGA folks are really angry. Holy mackerel. Did you know, Joan, that this interview with Laura Ingraham has angered a lot of MAGA folks?
I didn't know. I heard a portion of it that I didn't agree with, and so apparently there was more. But wait, there's more.
Oh, there's a lot more. So yeah. I want to make sure that I put this in the proper context. You have to remember that, do you know what I think about, Joan? Am I weird in this sense? I look at my relationship with politicians like I look at relationships in my real life. You take the good, you take the bad, and there you have the facts of life.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So nobody's going to be perfect. Amy certainly knows that I am not perfect. John certainly knows that, well, I'll let John speak for himself. But anyway.
He definitely knows that I am not perfect.
So we're not perfect. And so I look at a presidential relationship or relationship with a politician. I'm going to like some of the stuff that they do and say, and I'm not going to like some of the things that they, say or do. But that doesn't mean that if there's one thing that they do or a few things that they say or do that you don't like, that you throw the baby out with the bathwater? That being said, this interview between Donald Trump and Laura Ingraham did not go well. I'm going to play some sound bites where they're talking about any number. It's a wide-ranging interview. And one of the things, and again, people are calling this a disaster, they did speak about the ballroom.
It'll be a large, beautiful, they had an event the other day. They could hold, with tables, they could hold 79 people. Now, if you have President Xi from China, or if you have some big state event, we have no place to have it.
Not just regular people. Just regular people invite in.
Obama wouldn't mind this.
All right, so you heard Laura Ingraham say, what about regular people, right? And Trump just blew right past that concept of inviting regular people into the new ballroom. I'm going to let Trump, of course, finish here. Then I'm going to defend the president on this one.
Place to have it.
Not just regular people. Just regular people invite in.
Obama wouldn't mind this. Mrs. Obama obviously wouldn't mind. They would put a tent on the lawn. It was a low section because that's the only section you have. So it was a low section. If it rained, you were sitting in 6 inches of water.
All right. So basically, and he goes on and on. Number one, I like how he takes a little bit of a backhanded slap at Michelle Obama. That's number one. But number two, he's on a roll and he's trying to sell the ballroom, right? And then Laura Ingraham says, well, what about, just like regular people? President Trump, he's got clearly President Xi Jinping from China on the top of mind. I mean, clearly that's it, because he mentioned Xi Jinping, I think, a couple of times during this interview. And the president, here's the deal. The president is right. We did, and I'm on record as saying that I do think that the ballroom was a good idea, because we do need some place where, number one, we can control the security better. And number two, in the long run, the East Wing ballroom is going to be cheaper for the American people. And also, let's not forget, the ballroom is being built with donations.
It was a disaster. We're going to have the best ballroom anywhere in the world. And I built a lot of them. You know that. You know a lot of them. This will be one of the greatest ballrooms in the world.
There was a report that Melania didn't love this idea. Is that true?
She loved her little tiny office. But you know what? She's very smart. In about one day, if you would ask her now, she says it's great. But just so you understand.
All right. So that is President Trump talking about the ballroom. And so I don't want to be nitpicky. So I don't think that was a very big deal. Couple of other things, though, my head exploded. But again, you look at these relationships that we have with politicians, there's some things that are good, there's some things that are bad. And, to me, and maybe you've noticed this, friends, where I look at these things and I'm thinking, okay, but how bad was Obama? Let's just start with Obama, going way back when, and Obamacare, right? That's been top of mind these days. How bad was Joe Biden? Joe Biden was horrendous. In other words, sure, Trump is saying things and maybe doing some things that we don't like. I'm not going to sit here and try and gaslight folks and say that everything is hunky-dory. I'm not going to do that. Unfortunately, that's what the president is doing, and it may be to his downfall. I've got a lot more on this straight ahead. It is 5:15. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Pretty much the same as before. We really don't have any delays to speak of this morning. Just a minor delay out at the airport. It is starting to slow down on 65 through the Goodlettsville area. 24, no problem. 65 heading north through the areas of Brentwood and Franklin. No problem so far this morning. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. Appreciate it. And because of all of the hijinks and shenanigans from the, what do you call them, the gremlins, or what do we call them that keep our computers going these days at the radio station?
The gerbils.
The gerbils, that's right. because of the hijinks and shenanigans of the gerbils. I did not have my weather in front of me, but now I do. Mostly sunny and breezy today, a high of 53, feeling like 49. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So they did talk about affordability last night. Donald Trump and Laura Ingraham talking about affordability, and the president is taking a huge shot on this one in the sense that there's a lot of people, including MAGA, who are taking what the president's saying and they're not buying what he's trying to sell. Listen.
The economy was listed as a top concern. I know you know this for voters in New Jersey, New York, Virginia. And I've been all over the affordability issue today and for the last several months. Eggs, gas, dinner costs for Thanksgiving way down. But other things, as you noted, have gone up. Beef, coffee,
but they're gonna come
auto
down very
repairs.
shortly.
Is this a voter perception issue of the economy? Or is there more that needs to be done by Republicans on Capitol Hill or done in terms of policy?
More than anything else, it's a con job by the Democrats. They're saying, they just have to say, they put out something, say today costs are up. They feed it to the anchors of ABC, CBS, and NBC, and a lot of other, and CNN, and et cetera. And it's like a standard. I'll never forget they had used a word like manufactured. Do you remember the word manufactured? Mm-hmm. It's a manufactured economy. Nobody uses that word. Every anchor broke the manufactured. They do exactly what they say. It's such a rigged system.
All right, so that is the president basically saying that the economy is not an issue, and if you're concerned about the economy, then you are just falling for, the Democrats and the media and their diabolical plot to try to fool you into thinking that stuff is more expensive. Hey, let's do a Daily Dan poll real quick, and I know, Sam, you've got everything going on back there, and I appreciate your help. I want to do a Daily Dan poll, and I want to ask, do you believe that the perception of our economic issues are a plot by the Democrats and the media, all that? Just figure out a way to put it. In other words, do you believe that our country's economic problems are real, or are they, just a con job, as the president said, by the Democrats and the media? To figure out a way to frame that. But I don't know. I mean, I'm here to tell you that and again, you've got to put all of this in perspective, because there are still things that are expensive, far too expensive. And by the way, Donald Trump didn't do himself a lot of favors when he was campaigning, and he said that he would fix our country's economic issues literally on day one. So as far as the prices go, it depends on how you look at everything. The Bureau of Labor Statistics is showing that inflation is at about 3%. That is just overall general inflation. That is about 3%. It's gone up several months in a row. When Trump started, general inflation was at 3.0, went all the way down to 2.4, and now is back up to where it started, which is 3.0. The Feds like it at 2%, so there is work to be done. But inflation is down, and this is what I'm trying to tell you folks. Inflation is down from where Biden had it, of course, and we've gone through all of that. Joe Biden had inflation up to 9.1%. Gas is going down, and with it, prices will go down as well. Now, with the shutdown hopefully over, we'll have to wait and see what happens. That is going to help the economy. That will help fuel the economy. And by the way, core inflation, that is everything minus gas and food, which are volatile. That is down from January when Donald Trump was sworn in. It was at 3.3%. Right now it is at 3.0. So we're going to get some numbers this week. I think later on this week. Is it Thursday, Joan? I think it's Thursday or Friday.
For what?
For inflation numbers.
Probably Thursday.
Probably Thursday. And by the way, looking at food and groceries, they call that food at home. That number is up. So that is literally the food in your basket. It is up from January. So to me, these numbers are like the epitome of mixed. The economic numbers right now are mixed. Inflation is up, core inflation is down, food prices are up. But here's the deal. He's got to be able to articulate it. The other day, I was talking about how ironic it was that the president was complaining that the Republicans don't know how to sell a message. Well, telling people that they're not seeing or experiencing what they're seeing or experiencing is not the right way to go about things. It's not. You have to be able to, if your administration, President Trump, if your administration has a good story to tell, and by the way, it does, you need to be able to articulate that and not just say that what you're experiencing is not real and that it's a con job by the media and the Democrats. I mean, that's just me. There's good numbers, there's bad numbers. There's good things to say, and there's some instances where we have some work to do.
So, are you ready? Costs are way down. Gasoline is going to be hitting $2 pretty soon, or around $2. Gasoline is at $2.70 now, and it was at $4.50 under Biden, under Sleepy Joe. When gasoline comes down, when energy comes down, and everybody agrees energy's down, we're drilled, drill, baby, drill. We're going like wild. We produce more gasoline, oil and gas in the last month than we ever have before, by far. And we're going to also end up filling up the national strategic reserves, which were taken out by Biden in order to try and win an election. Didn't work out too well. They tapped in. That's supposed to be for war, for national emergency, not to get.
So are you saying that voters are misperceiving how they feel, or?
So when I took over, you remember?
Because you said Biden did that too, because he was saying things were great, but things weren't great.
It's synonymous. Biden.
Yeah, all right. So that is President Trump. And basically, he didn't answer that question. When Laura Ingraham said, hey, aren't you doing what Biden did, which is gaslighting the American people? And, remember when Biden was in office? Remember this whole thing? He was like, oh, inflation. I'll never forget this one. Inflation is a good thing, right? So Joe Biden, his administration was famous for gaslighting the American people. And President Trump didn't really answer that part of the question with which Laura Ingraham asked. So honestly, I think that I can forgive the president if prices are higher, and depends on how you look at it. Some prices, if you look at just, the food at home, the groceries in your basket, the groceries are higher. You talk about core inflation versus inflation, all of that, it's a mixed bag. I know that he's working on it. He's got to focus on that. So I can, forgive the president. He's trying to deal with it. I can't forgive the president for lying. I can't forgive the president for that. And so, to me, he needs to be better at just that messaging. If you've got a story to tell, tell it. And don't just say it's a con job by the Democrats and the media. Now, I do understand that there are a lot of people that are screaming at the radio right now, well, the Democrats this and the media that. I know. I'm right there with you. I'm asking you to put all of this in the proper context. The president and his administration right now, far, far, far better than anything we saw under Joe Biden. So that's the context with which you need to look at this. And so there's a lot of MAGA people. When I woke up this morning after my 14 hours of slumber, I saw that many of you were angry with the president and what he had to say about a number of different things. I got it. I get it. I believe the president gets it as well. It is 524 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and Joan's got the news coming up at 5:30. Joan.
Yeah, we'll have more on the nearing end of the government shutdown. Also, what temperature is the perfect temperature on the thermostat at home? We'll tell you what the U.S. Department of Energy has to say about that coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Oh, no, you didn't. Are you kidding me? Joan, dude's
Just
already...
accept it. Embrace it,
Dude's
Dan.
already starting Christmas music,
I love
really?
it. I love it. Yes.
I got 2 words for you. Bah humbug.
Oh, come on.
Wait, is that one or two? I think that's one word. Bah.
humbug.
B-A-H, humbug.
I think it's hyphenated.
Two.
Is it hyphenated?
Maybe.
You know what? If you want to do this, you just embrace it. You go ahead and pot that right up. All right, very good. All right, that's enough. Thank you. Now, if I get kicked off of YouTube for that, I'm going to be really mad at you.
Oh, man.
After all of the time and effort that it took to get us on the air this morning because the gerbils were like getting tired and stuff, to get kicked off of YouTube for that, I'd be very upset. Joni, you on the super text line?
Yeah.
All right, so coming up, a super text line is open, 615-737-9986. Going to talk about the results of our poll. That's number one. Number two, going to find out what people are talking about on the super text line. Turning Point USA under attack. Holy mackerel, did you see what happened last night? And yes, indeed, it is also Veterans Day across Middle Tennessee and America. We'll talk about that. And a whole lot more straight ahead. It is Nashville's Morning News on WTN.
Good morning now, 5:31. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Another super cold start this morning, but it's going to get better. That's according to Stefano DiPietro.
Temperatures improve much more than they did yesterday when most of us stayed in the 30s. Today we'll at least get back to the 40s. A couple of areas will even try to make a push back into the low 50s this afternoon.
Yeah, right now it's partly cloudy, 26 degrees right here in Nashville. Temps climbing into the 70s, though, throughout the week. Another late night on Capitol Hill aimed at reopening the government and the Senate moving forward now with a group of Democrats joining Republicans to vote on the continuing resolution.
Many Democrats furious at the compromise. Senator Jean Shaheen's own daughter, who's running for Congress in New Hampshire, opposing her mother's position, posting, "I cannot support this deal," when Speaker Johnson refuses to even allow a vote to extend health care tax credits. California Congressman Ro Khanna calling for Senator Chuck Schumer to be replaced as minority leader, saying if you can't lead the fight to stop health care premiums from skyrocketing for Americans, what will you fight for?
That's ABC's Lionel Moisey. Now, House lawmakers are taking the day off for Veterans Day. They'll start voting tomorrow afternoon on the revised measure from the Senate. So are you going through the thermostat wars either at home or at work? Personal comfort, of course, can range widely, just like the weather has been swinging pretty widely, too. But according to the U.S. Department of Energy, the ideal indoor temperature is 68 degrees. The department recommends setting the thermostat between 68 and 70 while you're home and then lowering it when you're asleep or away to conserve energy. The department also saying that contrary to popular belief, your heating system doesn't have to work that much harder to reheat your home after you have lowered it. That is the latest news. Traffic is coming up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Got a couple of reports of a crash on 40 westbound. It's at Lebanon, exit 238 there. And they're saying this may be an accident between a semi and a car. The cleanup is underway now. But again, you'll have some slowdown on 40 westbound at Lebanon, thanks to the super texters and the otherwise texters who have let me know this morning. Also, if you're traveling on I-840, looks like things heading westbound, approaching 65. That's a little bit slow this morning. 24 is looking good so far. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.537. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. Hope you are doing well. And if you're just tuning in, or I guess what would be seeing in, watching in, whatever, on YouTube and Facebook and all that. Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day. Do you know what's interesting, Joan, real quickly? And then I'll get to, apparently Matt Murphy was dissing yours truly yesterday.
I'm sure it was done lovingly.
Oh, I'm sure it does. Matt I would never say a bad word about Matt Murphy, and I don't know if he would ever say a bad word about me or not. But Veterans Day. Do you know what's interesting is veterans often will say, listen, we don't want any special treatment. Like, have you ever noticed that? That the veterans that I know, they have all said that on Veterans Day, they don't necessarily want the, special treatment about, free food and walking up to a veteran and saying, hey, thank you for your service. It's interesting. It's like they don't want that. And I found that some veterans, I guess, appreciate it. When I've talked about this on the radio in years prior, I think it's been a minute, but some veterans will say they appreciate the, hey, thanks for your service. Others will say, you know what, we want to just go about our day. What we did was nothing special, and it was all about our service and our duty for our country, defending our freedoms. And so I always find it interesting how our military men and women, the heroes, they just have a different opinion of things like Veterans Day and Memorial Day and so forth. So have you noticed that?
Yeah.
You have. Are you okay? What's so funny?
Oh, no, I'm like listening, half listening to you, half listening to, stuff.
Half listening to what? Audio?
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
News.
Okay. All right. So apparently, Matt Murphy was making fun of me or something yesterday. I've not heard this.
Okay.
So this is kind of sort of fun with audio. Let's go ahead and listen to it. This was Matt Murphy yesterday on WTN.
Is about a foot taller than me. She'd have to block the wind from me.
What do y'all think's going on here? What can you see that? You see that?
Yeah.
Junk all over the. What is going on with that?
Looks like somebody's been eating breakfast in there while they're typing.
You know what? It's all over. It's like someone spray painted the studio.
Oh, I thought it was a bunch of crumbs.
Okay,
it's not
hold
crumbs,
on. Can you
Ken.
pause that?
It's,
hold on.
So I like how Ken threw you right under the bus.
Well, we haven't heard the whole thing yet, but if you are listening on the radio, there is white stuff all over the studio, all over like the keyboard, the phone, the little mixer thing over here. And Ken's right. It looks like somebody just came and sprayed a bunch of white particles. Remember I said to you early this morning, Joan, engineering is going to blow a gasket when they come in. All right, go ahead and start again.
I'm going to go ahead and blame Dan Mandis. I have no idea what happened in the studio. I have no idea how it happened. But there is a spray of some sort that looks like paint that has been sprayed all over the phones, all over the keyboard, all over the microphone, Oh, my.
It's everywhere.
Oh, boy, it's on there. It's like paint.
Paint?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like paint. Let's see if it'll come off. Huh.
You can't.
I don't know. Maybe it'll come off if you lick it.
You can. Oh, Lord.
Okay, it'll come off if you lick it. So I guess it's not paint.
Did he lick it?
I mean, if you put moisture to it, I should say, not lick it. Don't lick it. I licked my thumb.
I was getting ready to say, you don't want to do that, Brother Murphy. We're getting to the cold and flu season.
Maybe this is a part of cold and flu season. It's my understanding that Dan Mandis has a little bit of he's a little under the weather. That's what I heard this morning on Nashville's Morning News. So,
is that it? All right. I know what happened, and it had kind of sort of nothing to do with me, but it kind of sort of did. So I don't know what Murphy thinks is coming out of my nose, but it's not paint-like stuff that sticks to the keyboard. What it is when this happened during the cross, just very quickly. So we got done with the crisscross handoff. And so I got up, unplugged, and I said, I threw all my tissue away. And then I said, I'm going to clean this up real quick, so don't move over here yet. We had like 10 minutes. And so I come back in, and I don't know where it is. Chris has some aerosol of some sort just spraying everything. And I'm like, Chris, you cannot do that. I love Chris. I love Chris Hand. But I said, you can't spray stuff on electronics. You just can't. And so he sprays this aerosol kind of thing, thinking that he's cleaning the studio here. I don't know what the heck he sprayed, but I told him he wasn't supposed to do it, but it was too late. He was just spraying all over the place.
See, Murphy tried to pin it on you by saying you grabbed the giant bucket of Lysol wipes out in the hallway and brought it in and wiped everything down.
No, this is clearly an aerosol spray. I actually used the wipes to clean the counter and stuff, but you don't spray stuff on the electronics. I mean, I realize Chris is a lot younger than me, but I mean, I knew that at 36 years of age. Youngin'.
He's 38.
Whatever. That doesn't give him an excuse. His youth and inexperience.
That's less of an. He's almost 40.
Well, that's old enough to know better on radio that you don't spray aerosol. I can't get this off. Like, I'm trying to get this off. I'm not going to, like, lick my fingers like Murphy did.
Murphy literally licked his thumb and then just...
I love how Matt is, like, grossed out about my snot, yet he's licking fingers and putting it all over the equipment.
Yeah.
Do you know what's so funny? I now understand why, talk show hosts like, I don't know, Dr. Laura and El Rushbo and our own Phil Valentine, why they always ask for their own studios when they become, highfalutin. It's because they don't want to, be amongst all of the body fluids of the local hosts. Okay, that may have been a little gross. But it's true. He shouldn't be licking fingers and then putting it all over. I would love a piece of that wood. No, you stop it. What is wrong with you?
So do you think that if you just, we have Lysol wipes. Do you think if you just use the Lysol wipes, you could wipe it up? Uh-huh.
I could try, Joan. Uh-huh. I can try. All right. Anyway. Hey, I want to say...
But here's my question.
Yes.
And this is going to sound very sexist. But you got guys, right? All guys.
Bunch of guys.
Uh-huh. Bunch of guys.
Yeah.
One of them sprays ick all over the place. Uh-huh. Wow, another very loud... I don't know if you felt that or heard that.
That was my stomach. That was not a construction blast.
The construction blast around here is crazy.
No, you know what that was? So for people that don't know, we just heard a big blast here at the studio. So as you're complaining, belly aching, Joan, about the guys, Sam decided to get ticked off and just farted.
Oh, is that what it is?
He was doing a big man fart. That's what that was. Moving right along.
It felt like it.
Now we know why Mason is always sick.
Okay, so let me get back to my sexist comments.
He's got to follow, Sam, who's lighting up the studio in there.
All guys in the studio. One of them sprays ick all over the place.
Yeah.
All it takes is for you guys to get a wipe or a wet paper towel and wipe it off. But not one of you does it. Not one of you. Not Chris.
What are you talking? I do that every morning, Joan. When I come in, I wipe things off.
Then why is it still sticky?
Well, because you can't get this stuff. It's not sticky. You can't get this stuff off the keyboard. You can't get it off the keyboard. So, I mean...
I wanted to complain about guys, and you just ruined it for me.
It's okay. You can be fake news, Joan.
Uh-huh.
Fake news.
Uh-huh. Perfect.
Anyway.
Thanks.
Whatever. Let's see here. 2220 says, while we veterans appreciate the recognition, we do not seek praise. So there you go. Like, that's what some veterans say.
Yep.
Well, and one of my best friends served 4 years, did 2 tours in Afghanistan, and he doesn't want to talk about things half the time because, some people may have done their service and things were, I guess you could say, normal. They maybe deployed but never saw any live fire.
Right.
Whereas he did, and he doesn't want to talk about that stuff. So when it's presented to them, sometimes they feel, triggered into remembering things that they'd rather not.
One veteran told me that he said, I didn't actually see any live action. And he did know people who did see live action. And so he, and I don't subscribe to this, but I mean, there's a whole veteran thing, whatever. But he says, I didn't see any real live action. And so when somebody comes up to me and says, Veterans Day or, thank you for your service on Memorial Day and so forth, he felt like because he didn't see any live action, that he's not like those guys or those women that did see live action and who may have known people that, died in action and so forth. And so, and again, that is a whole, perhaps a veteran community thing that they all got to work out, whatever. Me, I appreciate everybody's service, regardless as to how much or how little action you did. Veterans Day to me is like every day. You show your appreciation for the veterans. And so as we've been talking about on Nashville's Morning News and on WTN the last couple of days, you can get free food for veterans at Legend Steakhouse. So if you want to, get a free meal for being a veteran, Legend Steakhouse. There's all kinds of places, by the way, across Middle Tennessee. Maybe we'll talk about what freebies veterans can get on Veterans Day. I don't know if
there you go.
And the Pancake Pantry too.
Pancake Pantry as well. So Legends and Pancake Pantry, both of those. And I think that's great. And I think if I was a veteran, I've often said that one of the things that I wish that I had done was served, but I didn't. I got into radio. I've told that story before, Joan, I think, where I was going to join the Navy when I was 18 years old.
Oh, really?
I was going to join the Navy. My dad was in the Navy, and I was going to join the Navy. And, I mean, I'm telling you, it came right down to it. I was working at the college radio station, and I was more of a behind-the-scenes kind of person. But I was trying to, do the whole disc jockey thing. And how bad of a disc jockey was I? I was going to go join the Navy. Now, but my dad was in the Navy. I was a terrible disc jockey. But ultimately then I started getting jobs in radio. And so I thought about joining the Navy, and then I realized, you know what? I keep getting jobs in radio, and so I'm just going to see how this goes. And I think I've told you, my dad said a number of things when he heard me on the radio. One of the things that he said, for the first time, one of the things my dad told me was, son, it's not too late to join the Navy.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I mean, I was not good. So anyway, and I hold our veterans in the highest possible regard. Mm-hmm. And I think every day that we have our veterans to, protect our freedoms. I don't do it just on Veterans Day or Memorial Day. I mean, I do it every single day. And so, for veterans, happy Veterans Day. And thank you very much for all you've done. But to me, it's not necessarily a special day in the sense that I thank our veterans every single day. So, there you go.
I think it's a sign of a true patriot of this country. If you at least think about it, my obsession as a 15, 16-year-old is I wanted to go to the Air Force Academy, and I wanted to be a pilot. Top Gun really did a number on me.
Did it really?
Oh, yeah. But then they did the booth in high school. They set up in the gym. All the colleges come and they do their booth. And so they had their vision test at the table. And I hadn't worn my glasses for 7 or 8 years at that point. And I get up there and they're like, you have to be able to see this good to get behind the cockpit of an F-22 Raptor. And I'm like, I can do this. And they tested my vision and they're like, yeah, we'd probably have you putting fires out on the runway, if anything.
Okay. All right.
I'm like, all right, I'm good.
So much for that.
Yeah, I'll get my private license then.
All right. It is 5:51 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right. So if Murphy ends up getting sick or anyone ends up getting sick here at the radio station,
it's not your fault.
It's Chris Hand's fault.
It was not my fault. It was not my fault. And when engineering, I told Joan when engineering comes into this room and sees all of this aerosol that has been sprayed on the equipment, they are going to lose their ever-loving minds.
I'd pay to see that.
And they could. So what do you do if an engineer comes in and says, "Hey, do you know what happened?"
You said no.
Do I say no, or do I throw Chris Hand right under the bus?
Ooh. Deny, plead the fifth, and if all those fails, throw Chris Hand on the bus.
Say, I never saw this before. That's all you have to do. They'll work on the timeline. They'll get it.
I know nothing.
Right.
Well, the cameras
No
were
habla.
not on, so there's no actual evidence, from a camera perspective, what happened to the keyboard here. Okay. Coming up, there's a lot going on, so it is a 5:52 on Super Talk 99.7. One of the things that Donald Trump said, real quickly, what is our Daily Dan poll, and how are people reacting? This is in relation to our first segment here in the 5 o'clock hour. How did you frame the question, and what are people saying?
How did I frame the host question with a 100-character limit? Do you believe the economy is rebounding, or is the perception presented by media and Democrats true? Answers: rebounding, polling at 74%, and false perception, polling at 26%.
Because remember, so what Donald Trump said, because people are saying, things are still too high, and Donald Trump said, well, that is just, you're falling for the trick of the media and the Democrats when they're trying to convince you that things are, rising and the prices are going up, when in reality they're really not. And I mean, my perception is that things are going up, but my perception is always when you compare it to what happened with Joe Biden's 4 years, that was a complete and utter train wreck with inflation up towards 9.1%. In other words, I don't think we're at a 3-alarm, 4-alarm, I don't know how many alarms there are, but it's not a 3-alarm fire at this point. It's just not. Trump is working on it. That's my message. Donald Trump is working on it. It is 5:54 on Super Talk 99.7. Joan, was coming up in the news at 6.
Well, coming up here, Dan, we'll take a look at the Senate's push to end the shutdown. 8 Democrats crossed the aisle to make it work. Also, we've got the details about the Veterans Day parade that's happening downtown this morning. Stick around for that and more coming up here at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
5:58, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Somebody said, Joan, 40 westbound, there's 3 accidents around Lebanon on the
3
westbound.
accidents now,
Yeah,
wow.
so I don't know if that's true or not.
So, well, now it's changed. So a couple of people have texted in to say that there was an accident at Lebanon. And now I'm looking in 40 westbound, 2 separate accidents, one at mile marker 237, one at 238. And they've called in a wrecker and they're, so.
We don't have any slick roadways, do we? I mean, I know that it's cold.
Not
but
that I know
didn't,
of.
Yeah, I didn't hit anything slickery, slick and slippery. Nothing slickery
Well, you
on
would've
my
known.
on my way in.
Yeah.
I didn't hit anything, but I don't go. I'm not that far east Lebanon. I get on to Mount Juliet.
Okay.
Or Old Hickory.
I would
so.
posit that people weren't going to time having to defrost their windshields this morning.
There may be that.
Every first 2 weeks of getting that freezing cold temps that frost that windshield up, we end up with stuff like that. Multiple injuries at one site type of thing.
All right. So, in other words, you're saying people are driving while their windows are frost covered?
Yup.
Okay.
Oh, who would do that? Sam.
Me.
Oh, you do that?
Yeah, that's how I got here this morning.
Oh, okay.
I just
Very
knew
good.
it. I had a feeling.
All right, it is coming up on 6 o'clock, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986. Got a lot going on today. We are going to talk a little bit about, I didn't get a chance to get to it yesterday, but 50-year mortgages.
Yeah.
That's number one. And number two, Turning Point USA was attacked bigly in Northern California, Berkeley. Last night. Horrifying scenes. And so we'll talk about that as well. Very busy morning. It is Nashville's Morning News, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, hello there. Now 6 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The Senate knuckling down on reopening the government last night. Here's ABC's Lionel Moisey.
A major hurdle has been cleared to reopen the government as soon as Wednesday. The Senate last night narrowly passing its bill to keep the government funded through January 30th. 8 Democrats not up for re-election next year broke ranks to vote with Republicans, even though the deal does not include Democrats' key demand to extend Obamacare subsidies and prevent insurance premiums from skyrocketing.
The House could vote on that bill as early as tomorrow, and if it does pass, it'll go right to President Trump's desk. Louisville mayor says that the investigation has found all of the victims of the UPS cargo plane crash, but there's plenty of work to do to identify all of those victims. Louisville's WLKY reporter Norman C. Wright.
Not only do cleanup teams have to decontaminate everything that goes into or comes out of the crash site, Louisville Emergency Services Director Jody Myman says with every bit of wreckage that's moved, first responders search thoroughly in case there are any other victims.
There's a lot of heavy equipment that's being moved. And as that equipment is being moved or the debris is being moved, we stop and we go search that area.
And business owners, they're still being kept away from their businesses as the cleanup continues there. You'll want to bundle up if you're headed to the Veterans Day Parade this morning. It'll start at 11 o'clock on Broadway from 13th Avenue to 1st Avenue. Watch for the streets around the parade route to start shutting down about 9:30 this morning. Also, it's 26 degrees now, and our high temp today later on is going to be 51, so somewhere in between that as you head out to the parade route. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
AI shares came roaring back Monday, sending the NASDAQ composite soaring 2.25%. The S&P rose 1.5% yesterday. The Dow Jones gained 381 points to land at 47,369. Tyson Foods expects annual revenues to rise between 2 and 4% this year. The company says sales of chicken are making up for what it says is softness in beef, with customers pushed away by higher prices. Sony Group this morning posted a stronger than expected rise in second quarter operating profit. It also announced a $649 million share buyback. Sony saw gains in its imaging segment, which produces advanced semiconductor products. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Stock futures this morning looking a little depressed. We've got the NASDAQ futures down 97, S&P futures minus 13, but the Dow futures just turning positive now. They're up 12 points. That is the latest news. We've got traffic coming up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Okay, so the trouble spot seems to be 40 this morning. On the westbound lanes at Lebanon exit 238, you've got stop-and-go traffic this morning because of two separate accidents. One is at mile 237, the other at 238. One of them involves injuries. They have called for a wrecker to expedite the removal of these vehicles this morning because the backup is growing so quickly. Also, we're learning that at 40 westbound at the airport, just before Donaldson Pike, there's another crash this morning. 65 northbound past I-24, got a crash reported there. And also we're learning that Bell Road over Percy Priest Dam is closed this morning. They're saying that there may be some ice on the roads there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.606 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you. I hope you're doing well on this Veterans Day. And to all of you veterans, we so much appreciate your service to our country. So Turning Point USA, y'all know, obviously, Charlie Kirk and all that. One of the things that I thought is fascinating, my 5 o'clock hour had everything to do with Donald Trump and his... It's the best way to put this. Donald Trump and his, some people say gaslighting to MAGA voters because of this interview with Laura Ingraham, where the president said, essentially, and I'm going to paraphrase, we'll cover this a little bit more a little bit later on if you're just joining us, but the president said, the economy's doing great. The higher prices that people are experiencing essentially is a figment of people's imaginations. You're falling for... the Democrats and the mainstream media trying to dupe you into thinking that prices are higher. Now, I went through some of the facts and the figures and prices and everything. And so I've said my piece on that. The president, I think that he's being a little disingenuous, or he just doesn't know. But moving forward from there, you have to put everything into its proper perspective. Because, number one, Joe Biden had a far, far worse economy. So that's number one. And number two, okay, so let's say you're not happy with Donald Trump. Totally get that. If you're an independent and you are, or you're a conservative, a Republican, whatever, I want you to think about the alternative. I want you to think about everything that we as conservatives went through, not only during the reign of Joe Biden, but also what is going on right now. Turning Point USA, I think we're, 6, maybe 7 weeks from the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Is that what it is, I think? So, a couple of months after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and Turning Point USA was in Northern California, UC Berkeley, and the left did what the left does. That is, again, at Berkeley, you have all of these protesters trying to block people from getting in or getting out. And so you've got all of these, all of these people that are just chanting, Nazis go home and all of that other nonsense. And so you look at what's going on at these Turning Point USA events, and as angry as you may be, because there's a lot of people, a lot of MAGA folks that are angry with this interview between Laura Ingraham and Donald Trump, because he did say some things that I would say were, not exactly consistent with being America first. We'll talk about that. But I do, again, want you to put it in context, because this kind of thing, what happened at Turning Point USA, where 4 people were arrested, that's what the left stands for. That is still what the left stands for. And by the way, now they're even more super duper charged, I would say, because of what happened in New York with Mamdani, and also in New Jersey and the other Virginia, the other elections that were held last week. And so, again, put everything in its proper perspective. 4 arrested at UC Berkeley, a Turning Point USA event. The visit is the nonprofit organization's first to a California college campus since the killing of Charlie Kirk. And they don't care. The left simply does not care. And so people, when I woke up this morning, I had a lot of people that had sent me, clips of President Trump and the interview with Laura Ingraham and just, talking about, discussing, venting their frustration and their anger. I get it. I'm right there with you. I think I got maybe 15 or so. But I'm able to put it in its proper context, because the Democrats are still the same party that had, number one, wide open borders and lied about it, 9.1% inflation, and they're trying to convince us that inflation was a good thing. And they're talking about, clearly they are supercharged after the elections last week, and they are still the same party that celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk. So I'm not getting all angry about Donald Trump's interview with Laura Ingraham, because I'm able to put it in its proper context. Now, being a conservative, part of what being a conservative is all about is, okay, let's be truthful. Let's be honest about what's happening. And I think that is part of what Donald Trump was missing last night during this interview with Laura Ingraham. Now, one of the things I want to talk about just real quickly is the 50-year mortgages, because I'm just going to, and I've told you before, and I'm going to tell you again, just very briefly, my daughter trying to move to Middle Tennessee, there's no place where she can afford. But if you offered her a 50-year mortgage, she might be able to afford it. But here's the thing. From a financial standpoint, do you think that's a good idea, a 50-year mortgage? See, I don't believe that a 50-year mortgage is a viable option for someone, although you could very easily talk about, okay, so if somebody gets a 50-year mortgage, and Trump talked about this, if somebody gets a 50-year mortgage, then that interest rate, I should say the monthly payment is going to be lower, because you're spreading a loan out over 50 years. But here's the thing. A lot of people are saying a 50-year mortgage is a sellout to the banks, because you're paying a huge amount of interest. Now, the other side of that is, okay, so let's say that you get a 50-year mortgage. And so you are going to be able to afford it because you're spreading the payments out over 50 years. All right, I get that. But you're paying a lot more. Number one, you're paying a lot more in interest rates. That's number one. And number two, you can say, well, you could just refinance. Well, the sad truth of the matter is that you can try to refinance, but oftentimes some of these, banks and lending places, they are going to have a problem with refinancing a mortgage that is over, 40 years. And so that is going to be credit unions, is what I was trying to say, credit unions. So that's a big problem. And so President Trump, somebody told him, yeah, you know what? A 50-year mortgage is the way to go. I don't know. Here's what he said. He was asked about this during Laura Ingram's show last night.
To the question, though, because your housing director has proposed something that has enraged your MAGA friends, which is this 50-year mortgage idea. So a significant MAGA backlash, calling it a giveaway to the banks and simply prolonging the time it would take for Americans to own a home outright. Is that really a good idea?
I think, and I'm going to just say this, I'm going to let Trump speak after this. I'm going to play the audio after this. But the question is, ultimately, how realistic is it for someone to, number one, pay off a 50-year loan? But let's also be honest. Most people don't stay in their homes 30 years, 40 years, or 50 years. So you get the loan, and then if you can refinance, you can refinance the loan. Remember we used to have like balloon payments and all that kind of stuff? And so you get the 50-year loan. Then, again, the idea is that you can refinance into a 30 when you are in a better financial situation. But you're also going to have a lot less equity in your home because you're paying a lot more in interest rates. And so one of the things that people are saying is, and especially young people who are the ones oftentimes that can't afford a home, is this isn't really a solution to the problem. I'll let you hear Donald Trump's reaction to Laura Ingram's question coming up next on Super Talk 99.7. It is 6:15. Time to check the roads on WTN.
In Watertown. At BNA 40 westbound before Donaldson Pike reports an accident, and Talbot's Corner 65 northbound, an accident past 24 downtown. I'm Christy O'Brien.
Mostly sunny, breezy, high at 53. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. So Laura Ingraham asked Donald Trump the question, okay, so 50-year mortgages, huge backlash, she says, from MAGA. Was it really huge? I don't know if that was huge backlash from MAGA. I think a lot of people said, well, if this is your idea of a solution, it's not much of a solution. My response is, well, nobody is forcing you into a 50-year loan. So nobody is forcing you to do this. This would be something that would be an option. Is it a viable option? A lot of people say no. Some people say yes. This is what Donald Trump said on Laura Ingraham.
It's not even a big deal. I mean, you go from 40 to 50 years. And what it means is you pay something less from 30 that some people had a 40 and then now they have a 50. All it means is you pay less per month. You pay it over a longer period of time. It's not like a big factor. It might help a little bit. But the problem was that Biden did this. He increased the interest rates. And I have a lousy Fed person who's going to be gone in a few months, fortunately. I have a guy too late. Jerome Powell, we call him too late. He was too late in everything.
All right. So that is what, and a lot of that we've heard, very familiar.
There's one thing that I don't know if you've mentioned this or not, but you can pay down your mortgage as long as there's no prepayment penalty. You can pay down your mortgage. So instead of paying, if your mortgage is $1,000 a month, right, you pay $1,200 a month, and you can shorten the length of the mortgage that way.
Right.
And sometimes people can afford to, get a 15-year mortgage, but they'll get the 30-year mortgage so that their payments are lower and they can do it on their own.
So you're okay with the 50? So you're okay with the 50-year loans? And I'm not attacking.
I'm not a fan at all. Yeah. Not even because very few people will do what I just said.
Yeah.
But you have the option. To have the option is nice. The problem is you'll forever be tied to that loan.
The problem is that you are paying more in interest rates, and so it's going to cost more. You're right, Joan, about paying down that mortgage.
Also,
But you're going to be paying a lot more interest rates on that loan, and so you're paying down that principal. It's going to take it longer to pay down that principal.
Also,
Yep.
you'll need mortgage insurance. So there's a loan to value. So if you've got a 30-year mortgage and you need a loan to value of 80% of that loan, the value of the home being already paid off. 20% already having been paid, and then you can drop your mortgage insurance. Well, in the case of a 50-year mortgage, if it's the same standard, 80-20, to pay 20% of that loan, it'll take a lot longer. So you're carrying mortgage insurance for a lot longer period of time. It's costly.
Yeah, it is very costly. It is an option, but when President Trump said it's not a big deal, I remember something, and I forget the exact number, but years ago, the age of the first-time home buyer was like late 20s.
Yeah.
These days, the age of the first-time home buyer is 40 years old.
40 years old. Is that crazy?
That is insanity. How old were you when you bought your first home, Joan? I was 26. I think I was 26.
I think I was 28.
Yeah, 26, 27 years old. And so there is a problem. I'm just telling you, there is a problem. And how that problem is fixed, I think part of the issue, do you know what I think part of the issue is? Is that, and I think we've talked about this before, is that younger Americans, and I'm not throwing younger Americans under the bus, but oftentimes younger Americans want a house like the house that they grew up in, which is like their parents' house, as opposed to understanding that you're going to need, sometimes you need what's known as a starter home, which is a smaller home, maybe a fixer-upper and so forth. And so there is that aspect to it as well. But I think, I don't know, folks on the super text line, just give me a yes or no. Where are you at on the 50-year loans? Do you think this is a viable option? Sam worked out something with Grok. Sam, what did you do?
So the average age for first-time home buyer has hit the record high of 40, while the median age for all home buyers is 56. And then I asked Grok, well, what would the interest comparison be, 30-year versus 50-year? Average price in Tennessee for a home is $315,000, so I went with that number. So there's a 0.5 percentage difference on the interest rate. The 30-year term is going to get 6.13%. The 50 would get 6.63%. So there's a $200 difference in the monthly payment. The 30 years can be $1,900. The 50-year be $1,700. Here's where it gets crazy. The interest paid on a $315,000 home on the 30-year mortgage would be $375,000. On the 50-year mortgage would be $1,250,000.
Yeah.
$740.
And that's why people say that it's a giveaway to the banks.
It is. You end up paying a total of $710,000 extra on top of what the home is worth.
Right. That's exactly right. Now again, you can buy the loan, or you can buy a home at a 50-year mortgage, and then you can try to refi. But the question is, will you be able to get refinanced with a home that has that long of a mortgage to it? I've heard from some people that say no, they wouldn't allow that. That's number one. Number two is that, okay, so then what happens if the real estate market completely goes upside down? You can't sell the house, you can't refinance, then you are screwed.
If it's a difference of $200 a month, just pick up the extra part-time job.
All right, it is 6:21 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Sally says 2 words, hell no. No.
Yeah.
No. Most people, the fees, think about the fees. So, yeah, most people are saying no to a 50-year mortgage. I would agree with that. I would rather rent than put myself in that kind of a situation. But some people, if they're desperate enough to own a home, can I just say this too, by the way? There's no shame in not owning a home. Like, there are people that I know that have owned a home for years, and then they sell it, and it's like, oh, look, something's broken. I don't have to pay for it. You know what I mean? So there's people that have never owned homes, and they're just fine. There's some people that have owned homes for a long time, and now they rent, and they're happy as can be. So, but I do understand owning a home is a great way to build wealth. I mean, I'm telling you right now, that is a great way to build wealth. Unfortunately, other times, it's a great way to destroy your credit. It is 6:22 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And coming up, Matthew Hurt is going to join us at 6:35. About 6:35 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super text line 615-737-9986. Joan's got the news at 6:30. Joan.
Yeah, we'll tell you why the Smyrna Library unexpectedly closed its doors this week. Also, there are some Veterans Day specials out there. I've got a number of them for you, and how to find out even more coming up here at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Dan Mandis here, and of course the holiday. You know what? I bet you some people think, Joan, the holidays are the holidays.
Yeah.
Did I just accidentally coin a new phrase?
I think you might have.
Holidays?
Hashtag holiday.
Hashtag holidays. You got a bunch of
Holiday.
relatives coming in that you don't want to see. You can call them the holidays.
I like it.
Do you like that? Okay.
We might want to try it. Like hashtag it on.
You know what? With the
X.
prices of things, we're going to call the holidays the holidays. Whatever. Moving right along. 6:23 on Nashville's Morning News. With the holidays coming up, and you want to slim down? How about a belly buster special from my friends at Contours? Now, those belly buster specials, for most folks, they can take at least a couple of inches across the middle, taking advantage of Contours red light technology. It is not only incredibly unique, it is also effective as well. And you call right now, you can get that belly buster special for only $99. That is a great deal from my friends at Contours. Murphy Show is now doing this as well. 615-236-9960 is the phone number. If you're not quite sure how that cutting-edge red light technology works, check them out online. They've got a video that explains all about it. ContoursLLC.com, 615-236-9960. Contours, all you've got to lose is inches. All right, 625, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Loan Pronto. Now listen, what if you could pull up to, listen to this, $500,000 in cash out of your home and drop your mortgage rate to 4.99% APR? Well, right now at Loan Pronto, you can. At Loan Pronto, they've got the lowest rates in 3 years going on right now. With Loan Pronto's rapid equity loan, you can get your cash in as little as 3 days, pay off all of those high-interest credit cards, and even skip your next 2 house payments. Now, one client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours, paid off their debt, and also a couple of car loans, and they saved $2,100 every single month. One phone call, life changed. And now there's no wait, no hard credit pull up front, and you probably won't even need an appraisal. Just fast, easy cash from your home's equity thanks to Loan Pronto. Now, rates right now are at a 3-year low, so act right now. 615-499-5780. 615-499-5780. Find them online anytime. Visit loanpronto.com for your free instant home appraisal. 615-499-5780. Loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781 on approved credit. Visit NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Good morning. It is now 6:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The Smyrna Library unexpectedly closed its doors this week. News 2's Nikki McGee says it came after a warning about the books on the shelves at that library.
According to the library system's Facebook page, Tennessee's Secretary of State sent 3 letters calling for an immediate age appropriateness review of the library's youth reading section and a report of any books that might be in violation of state or federal laws. The letter also mentions an executive order from President Trump saying federal dollars cannot be used to purchase books that promote gender ideology or that someone can change genders after they're born.
The Rutherford County Library Alliance, however, defending its decision to include books on transing children and gender ideology. Major League Baseball making a new move to protect the integrity of the sport as it faces a new gambling scandal. The league is changing the rules now after 2 Cleveland Guardians pitchers were accused of rigging pitches to benefit sports gamblers.
Luis Ortiz has been released on a $500,000 bond. He denies the allegations. Emmanuel Clase, accused of leading the illegal betting scheme, is reportedly out of the country. His lawyer also denying the charges. Prosecutors say both players conspired with bettors to rig pitches so that the bettors would profit, while they sometimes receive bribes and kickback payments themselves.
ABC's Victor Akendo there. This is Veterans Day. No mail delivery today. Banks and federal government offices are all closed, but the stock market is open. Some specials for those heroes among us. Veterans and active duty military personnel eat free at Applebee's today. There's a select menu. Breakfast is free this morning at Cracker Barrel. Olive Garden has a free meal from a special menu as well. Now, I've got a post, a link to the many offers that are available at some of the bigger venues around the country for our veterans. It's available for you on my X account. You can find me there at Joan Jones WTN and find the specials for our heroes today. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 632, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. WTN Super Text line is open, 615-737-8986. What? USS. Hey, Joan, do you think people have figured out that sometimes when I give the super text number, it's because I don't have my radio copy in front of me or something's not working?
Right. So it's a way for you to scramble.
It's exactly
behind
right.
The scenes, yeah.
It's scrambling time here in the studio. Because, oddly enough, sometimes things just don't work.
Nuh-uh.
USS, United Structural Systems. I've been telling you for years about USS. They are experts in waterproofing, concrete leveling, foundation repair. Now, this is a great company. They've helped me several times with my home, and that is why I proudly endorse United Structural Systems. I'm one of 30,000 satisfied customers. I was a customer long before I was an endorser. And so this is a great company that I've used multiple times. Now, they're not going to charge you for any unnecessary repairs, and you're not going to pay a dime until the work is done, and you are a satisfied customer. United Structural Systems. And they can help you with basement and crawl space waterproofing, basement wall stabilization, and foundation repair. We guarantee our best. Call USS at 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855, USSTN.com.
Heads up, they've closed down I-40 westbound this morning because of the overturned vehicles. There's 3 crashes in that area this morning. It's westbound between Lebanon and Watertown. That's 239, and Lebanon, 238. That's where 40 westbound is closed off this morning. Now, they did clear one crash. They brought in a wrecker to take away the second crash, and then another one popped up in that same area this morning. Again, 40 westbound closed between Lebanon, Watertown, and Lebanon exits. Also in Cool Springs, 65 in the northbound lanes, the right shoulder blocked off at Moore's Lane by another crash. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.636, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986. Matthew Hurt is joining us on the Newsmaker Hotline. Matthew, how are you today? No Zoom link. It's your day off, so you didn't want to put on pants or what?
No Zoom link today. It's Veterans Day, so staying home to remember all those men and women who've served in uniform across the country. Many of whom are friends. You know, I'm about the age of the young people who went to serve in the global war on terror. So I've got quite a few of friends of mine who have served and texting them and thinking about them today. So no work in the office today.
Okay.
And coincidentally, no pants.
Okay.
It took a long time to get to that point.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
Whatever. Moving right along. Donald Trump, Matthew, gave an interview last night to Laura Ingraham that people within MAGA, they're not happy, and this is one such soundbite where the president talked about the economy. Listen.
The economy was listed as a top concern. I know you know this for voters in New Jersey, New York, Virginia. And I've been all over the affordability issue today and for the last several months. Eggs, gas, dinner costs for Thanksgiving way down. But other things, as you noted, have gone up. Beef, coffee,
but they're gonna come
auto
down very
repairs.
shortly.
Is this a voter perception issue of the economy, or is there more that needs to be done by Republicans on Capitol Hill or done in terms of policy?
More than anything else, it's a con job by the Democrats. They're saying, they just have to say, they put out something, say today costs are up. They feed it to the anchors of ABC, CBS, and NBC, and a lot of other, and CNN, and et cetera. And it's like a standard. I'll never forget they had used a word like manufactured. Do you remember the word manufactured? It's a manufactured economy. Nobody uses that word. Every anchor broke the manufactured. They do exactly what they say. It's such a rigged system. So are you ready? Costs are way down.
So, Matthew, that is Donald Trump talking about how costs are way down. I went through some of the numbers earlier, and people are just not feeling that costs are down. And the president is now being accused of trying to gaslight the American people. That's one of several instances where President Trump has apparently raised the ire of MAGA. So let's talk a little bit about that specific answer. Groceries, by and large, are up. I mean, there's no other way to say it. They may go down at some point. The president is working on it. But what are your thoughts on all of that?
You know, when President Trump took office in January of this year, the price of eggs were about $6.50 per dozen. They have gone down. They're down at about $1.93 right now, the average cost. And so in reality, when people go to the grocery store, costs are down. There is, I would say, reality and perception, and people's perception is their reality. So if they still feel like the costs are up, then that is how that's where the frustration is going to manifest. And so being able to speak to that, part of this, Donald Trump is absolutely right. If the media continues to say prices are up, then people will think prices are up. I do think this White House has done an excellent job on messaging, and this may be an issue that they need to focus on. In Virginia, just last week, we had an entire election focused solely on the economy and in particular the government shutdown. And so the perception of voters, especially in Northern Virginia, was that the government wasn't working with the people in charge. So is it a little different? Is perception different than reality? Yes. Is that something that people who want to win elections have to contend with? Also, yes.
I think part of the problem here is that there's different ways to look at the economy, right? You look at inflation, then you look at cornflation, then you look at, I guess, what they call food at home, and that is what is in your grocery basket overall, and that number is up. So the food in your basket, it is up from January. But again, I think it's fair to say that there's work to be done. I think that is part of where the president does need to land, is that we're working on it. We're trying to get interest rates lower. We're trying to look at, different ways that we can actually lower prices when it comes to the groceries in your basket at the store. So I think that for the president, I think people just want to hear that we're working on it. I don't think that people, and I do agree with you, the president is right in some sense that the media, they're always looking at something to criticize the president over. But I think that when people's everyday experiences is that the price of food is still too high, trying to say that, well, this is just a manufactured crisis. I don't think that, clearly from what MAGA is telling us and what I'm hearing on the super text line, is that people are not necessarily buying that, prices are going down the way that the president describes it. And I think part of the problem with President Trump is that on day one, he said, when he was campaigning, he said, day one, prices are going to go down. And, some things have gone down, other things have not. And so I think part of what what people want to hear is not your experience is not reality. I think people simply want to hear, I'm working on it, and put it in perspective, because when we all remember what Joe Biden was like. We all remember what that 4 years was like. I don't expect the president to be perfect. I said this whole thing a while ago in the first hour. I look at my relationship, if you will, with President Trump and with any politician. It's not ever going to be perfect. We're not ever going to agree on everything, but there's going to be some things that we disagree on, and that's just the way that it is. But I think that a lot of people feel like the president may be out of touch.
You make an excellent point there in the middle, Dan, empathizing with the American people. And so one of the things that this administration has done very well is using social media and communications channels to push out a message. And I think it would be, of the many things they could do, something could be having members of the administration and even average Americans do direct-to-camera communication to the American people talking about the issues. Somebody in Iowa who has benefited from the president's policies, a mom in the South who's benefited from the policies, saying, the president is listening, and these are the issues that are important. Obviously, for the last 40 days, we've been contending with a government shutdown, and not a lot has happened in Washington. But the president has a broad reach across all of their social media properties in the administration, and using those properties to talk about these issues and to say I'm listening is very important. I think about President Bill Clinton sometimes, and one of the things that he said was, I feel your pain, and I can still hear him say it. And I think that is something that would benefit this administration, to say, I empathize with you, or I sympathize with your plight, trying to make ends meet, and we're working on it. I think that would be very beneficial.
6:45, Nashville's Morning News. Matthew Hurt is joining us. Got a lot more with him straight ahead. Right now, they're time to check the roads on WTN. All right, at 6:45 on Super Talk 99.7. As far as your weather, mostly sunny today and breezy for your Veterans Day. High of 53, going to feel like 49. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So the government shut down. It's kind of what I was calling it yesterday, but I was sick in my defense, Matthew. The government shutdown, of course, the Senate has now passed that bill on its way over to the House of Representatives. A lot of people saying that this was obviously a big loss for Chuck Schumer. The rumors of AOC spending an hour on the phone with Chuck Schumer, basically telling him that he was weak and she was going to take his job. Do you think that Chuck Schumer would actually spend an hour on the phone being berated by AOC?
I certainly think that this is important enough within the Democratic primary atmosphere that he would listen to her and hear her out. Many people, even politicians, like access to other politicians. And so, many people will go to the Capitol, they'll talk to their senator or their congressman, and they'll say, oh, I got a meeting. And so this is an I got a meeting moment that could diffuse some of the frustration that might prevent AOC from primarying Chuck Schumer in the next Senate election in New York. I think it is incredibly important for those kinds of conversations to happen. But it seems to me, at least on the Democrat side, that a wing of the Democratic Party believes that Orange Man is bad, and giving him any win is capitulation to the right and deserves to be primaried. And I think that is a dangerous road into 2026.
Let me ask you this, because I do find the whole thing interesting. I cannot find one Democrat that is actually saying, and you watch this stuff a lot closer than I do, but have you seen any Democrats out there that have tried to say that there is any kind of a victory for their party with this? I mean, yesterday, everywhere from Adam Schiff to, you name the Democrat, they were crying that basically they lost in this battle over the government shutdown.
Yeah, it's so fascinating to me. Living in Virginia, we again contended with elections last week, and it seemed to me as a Virginia voter that Democrats were holding out through Election Day. I even joked that we'd reopen the government next Wednesday because then, Democrats got the outcomes they wanted in New York, New Jersey, and Virginia, and then they could proceed. This is it's an odd place to be because we as voters, Republican, Democrat, Independent, and people who aren't tuned in, expect the government to work. We expect congressmen and senators to go to work and do their jobs. And so I think this segment of the Democratic Party is out of step with most Americans. Republicans were saddled with some of the blame, but it was shifting toward the end of the shutdown last week. And I'm just not sure what the point is of arguing, like Gavin Newsom or AOC or anybody else, that this was a failure of the Democrats. But it's all partisan games for them, again, heading into the midterm elections.
Do you think part of what the Democrats are freaking out about is that they had the Mamdani victory, they had the victory in Virginia, New Jersey, and so forth, and so they really do feel like the wind is in their sails, and so they see this sort of as a step back. Like we had all of this great victory or these great victories, and now, as you said, capitulating to Donald Trump. What do you think ultimately is going to happen? I know that we're a year out, but I don't know. Where are you at with the midterm elections? Has your perspective changed at all over the past, couple of weeks?
Well, the Virginia Speaker of the House said they were going to legislate with prudence and not go to the far left. I think there will be instances in Virginia and as voters start to tune in for the midterms where Democrats who won last week and who may win early next year are going to go far left, and most Americans do not agree with that, and there will be a reaction or a revolt among voters. It does remain to be seen. A couple of these redistricting issues where it's a mathematical game. Will Republicans start ahead of 218, or will that number go below 218, the majority in the House? And we don't know what that looks like, and we won't know probably until March or April of next year. But I do think we'll start with a pretty clean slate at the beginning of the year as voters start to tune in with what's going on in Washington and specifically with their member of Congress.
Yeah, I think all of this is fascinating, of course, and what ultimately is going to happen. I know there's a lot of people that are worried about the midterm elections. The CR is now over to the House of Representatives. And Hakeem Jeffries is out there saying that he is going to fight this. And I guess my question is, can they make this attempt to pass the continuing resolution on the House of Representatives side, is that going to be something that they can procedurally delay?
That's a great question, Dan. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, Republicans have a numerical majority.
Yeah.
I think it'll go just back to the full House floor. You've seen some intra-party squabbling from Republicans. I just don't know what the benefit is at this time. As people travel for Thanksgiving, I was in Nashville over the weekend, and getting back to DCA was a chore. And part of that was the air traffic controller situation. And I think more and more Americans are they're going to see where the federal government isn't working in direct impact to their lives, and they're going to be equally outraged about it if this kind of activity continues.
Well, one of the things, and I some of this stuff I haven't yet covered today, one of the things, real quickly, Matthew Hurt joining us, is President Trump said yesterday, I'm gonna paraphrase, but the president said that he's got to view the presidency as a worldwide situation, not locally. In other words, there are people within the MAGA movement that are saying, well, the president is too worried about cozying up to, Xi Jinping versus, worrying about, say, for example, the economy here in America. I could quibble with what the president said. I totally get what the president is saying. I think that people are sort of misconstruing what he said, but I'm just going to throw it to you. Do you think the president perhaps has been more worried about ending wars and all that as opposed to being focused at home?
This is another issue where it's a perception thing.
Yeah.
The president can do both. And if he does international activity, if he's talking with world leaders, as well as addressing concerns on domestic policies and talking about those, the American people will understand that he's doing both. If more of his social media comments and interview comments and those kinds of things focus on domestic issues, the American people will think he's focused more on domestic issues. So it is 100% a perception issue, and I think President Trump can balance both domestic and international obligations.
And with that, we are going to say have a great rest of week. Matthew Hurt, how can people find you on X?
I'm on X at Matthew Hurt, MattheWHurtt.
All right, and always great analysis. Joan, we've got, is 40 westbound, I want to make sure we cover this. Is 40 westbound still closed?
It is. It is 40 westbound between Lebanon Watertown and Lebanon exit. So that's exit 239 and 238. Closed off. They're still working to take away an overturned vehicle. But in that stretch of the highway, there were 3 accidents. So, and one was fatal. So not only, are they cleaning up, but they're also doing an investigation. So.
That's rough to hear.
Yeah, sure is.
So I'm assuming westbound, that is people heading into town, morning drive.
Correct.
So do we know how bad of it? I mean, obviously it's a huge backup.
It looks pretty bad. It looks like it's backed up from the Tucker's Crossroads area.
Okay.
Through, that's 70.
Okay.
Yeah.
So find another route, folks, if you're heading 40 westbound, coming out of Watertown, heading into Nashville, because it is closed. It is 6:53, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. WTN, Joan, what is coming up in the news?
Coming up here, Dan, we'll take a look at the cold weather changing plans for some schools today. And also an update on a road rage shooting that happened yesterday, took place yesterday in downtown outside of a courthouse. We've got the details on what happened after. That's all coming up here at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. 6:54 in Nashville's Morning News. Man, do I love my two-way store, the Glock store, because they're always looking for ways to help you out with great deals. They've got them coming up on Black Friday. That's right. Everybody knows that Black Friday is a great time for deals. And the Glock store is going to have a massive two-way themed party with a ton of great deals and food trucks, some live music, and a ton of giveaways as well. The Glock store is famous for those giveaways, and expect even more on Black Friday. This may be their best event yet. Now, back on Vortex Day a few weeks ago, the Glock store gave away over $10,000 worth of merchandise. It was huge. This one on Black Friday, again, it's going to be even better. They're going to call it a celebration. I'm calling it a can't-miss event. You can pick up gifts for the two-way enthusiast in your life or stuff for yourself. Now, that is the Black Friday celebration. at the one and only Glock store, minutes from the airport and worth the drive from anywhere, especially on Black Friday. Details as they continue to come together. Find them, glockstore.com and shoot270.com. .658, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So I want to get into this topic, and it's going to be a little dicey, Joan.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, the Republicans are trying to kill hemp farmers. Hemp, you know?
Yeah.
What they want to do, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically what the Republicans are trying to do is they're trying to regulate the hemp farmers to the point where they're going to go under. And ultimately, it sounds to me like what they're trying to do is regulate the Delta products, you know, Delta 9 and all that kind of stuff, CBD products. And they're trying to regulate these hemp farmers, which there are many in Tennessee, to the point where they can't grow or at the very least manufacture these Delta-based products. And so this is what Rand Paul was talking about when he was trying to stop the continuing resolution from going into the House of Representatives. This is going to be a very big deal for a lot of people. Don't let this just, you know, go by the wayside, because this is a very important topic, especially to our veterans. This is very important. And so I'm going to do that coming up next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 7 o'clock now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. And a reminder that we have I-40 westbound closed this morning between exits 239 and 238. That's Lebanon, Watertown, and Lebanon. There is an overturned vehicle there. A couple of crashes that happened in that spot. And one of them was a fatal crash. And so there is an investigation going on. That roadway, the stretch of the roadway closed now. We'll keep an eye on it for you. Cold weather, changing plans for some schools today. Van Buren County schools are closed. Several other districts are opening 2 hours late, including Jackson, Pickett, Putnam, and White County schools. The Senate passing a short-term government funding bill. It would fund the government through January 30th and provide funding for some government agencies for the remainder of the fiscal year. Now it's up to the House. Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett on the Matt Murphy Show.
I think it's going to be a good thing for us. We need to get back to work. We need to start following through with Trump's pro-America agenda.
The House reconvenes tomorrow. They'll hold their first votes as early as 3 in the afternoon. Meantime, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries saying House Democrats are considering a discharge petition related to Obamacare subsidies. That would require 218 signatures to force a vote in the House. An update on that road rage shooting outside of a downtown courthouse yesterday. Online video shows a woman getting out of a car as the cars behind her begin honking, drivers yelling for her driver to move out of the zone. That woman approached a gray Dodge Durango that was behind her car. And that's when the passenger in that Durango apparently shoots at the woman, grazing her shoulder. She was taken to a hospital and then released. That woman had been at the courthouse for an appearance as a defendant in a domestic abuse case. Afterwards, she was booked into jail on an outstanding warrant for her probation violation. No word on whether police have yet arrested the shooter. In Wilson County last month, a pregnant dog was found off a road near Lebanon. It had been shot. Well, now in the Wilson County Animal Control Director Steve Gatlin tells News 2 that Spaniel Poodle mix has had her leg amputated, but she delivered her 7 puppies and she's doing okay today. And now a 23-year-old man has been arrested.
Happy to say that a citizen did come forward and contact us, and they wish to remain anonymous, but they gave us some information, and today that has led to the arrest of a young man for committing this crime.
That young man, Corey Evans, was charged with aggravated animal cruelty. If convicted, he faces 6 years in prison. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Stocks are trading today despite it being Veterans Day. So we've got Dow futures plus 18 right now. NASDAQ futures are down 121. S&P futures are minus 17. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Still closed, 40 westbound between Lebanon and Watertown, exit 239, and Lebanon, exit 238. Excuse me, traffic is stopped from Linwood Road, exit 245. The roadway closed because of an overturned vehicle crash. There were several accidents there. One of them was fatal, so this is going to take a while for the investigation to complete. Also, Church Street at I-40, there's a crash. That's North Gulch. And in East Nashville on Spring Street at Dickerson Pike, another crash scene this morning. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.706, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you. And boy, 40 westbound, what a mess. We'll keep you updated on when that, Jonah, have they said when that's going to be open? I know when there is obviously a fatal crash, they've got to do all of that investigation.
Right.
And all of the cleanup. It's been a minute. Hasn't it been a while since the original crash happened?
They're saying this has been going on for 2 hours.
Yeah, because it started like right after we got on the air.
Yeah, and just
So-
now they changed a little bit of the description. They didn't change the status of the roadway. It's still closed down 40 westbound between Lebanon, Watertown, and Lebanon. But they're saying that the crash, the fatal crash, involved 3 tractor trailers. So imagine what it's going to take to clean that up and do the investigation. I think it may be there for a while.
All right. Well, keep us updated, Joan. We've got your traffic every 15 minutes, every 10 minutes, actually, here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right. So the headline is GOP tries to kill hemp farmers, and that would mean no more Delta products. So if you like Delta 9 and some of these other things, well, the Republicans in the Senate pulled a fast one yesterday, and a lot of folks are really mad about this, including people that take these hemp-based products. We're going to talk about exactly what is going on here. And a lot of you folks don't take the Delta products. I understand that. We've talked about legalization of marijuana. We've talked about CBD products and that kind of a thing, medicinal marijuana. This topic falls into that. But there's a lot of people, including veterans, on this Veterans Day who do focus, who do use these products to be able to deal with their PTSD and those kinds of things. And what the Republicans are trying to do is they're trying to essentially regulate the farmers to the point where they can't produce the Delta products. And Rand Paul out of course, Kentucky, and Kentucky has a ton of hemp farmers in that state. This all came from Mitch McConnell, by the way. And so apparently what they did was the Republicans, as they were working on this continuing resolution, according to Rand Paul, what they did was they slipped this in there, apparently the way that he is saying it, at the last minute.
Instead of a clean CR, this bill contains language that has been airdropped in that will destroy hemp farming in Kentucky and across the United States. Tucked away on page 163, Title 7, Division B of this spending package is a provision that will shut down the hemp industry across the United States.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that is a very big deal for a lot of reasons. And one of the things, as you look at the people that depend on these hemp products, and I'm going to tell you right now, you know who this is a gimme to? The pharmaceutical companies, the alcohol lobby as well. Now, hemp isn't pot, it's a material, and it's used to make everything from like blankets to clothing. It is a massive industry across the country, here in Tennessee as well. But beyond all that, you can also use hemp to make things like Delta 9, edibles, and those types of things. And so let me try to briefly explain this. You have hemp, which is a type of cannabis, and these hemp farmers extract these ingredients from hemp known as THC. And without getting into the weeds, so to speak, on how it's done, they extract this THC and they extract some oils as well. They mix it with sugar and such, and there you have gummies. It's not pot, but it does have some of the same effects. Now, pot, talking about the difference between pot and, some of these edibles and THC, pot has THC that is found naturally in marijuana. In gummies, that THC is extracted from hemp, then added along with the sugars and all of that. But as you know, the Delta products, these kinds of products, they are legal. But what the Republicans in the Senate are trying to do, again, is regulate the hemp farmers to the point where they can't actually manufacture these kinds of gummies, if you will, the Delta products. They're not going to be able to manufacture them anymore. Now, Rand Paul and this industry, they were in negotiations with the Republicans to try and, regulate the industry to the point where the hemp farmers could still do what they need to do, but not completely ban that industry. Ultimately, though, now what the Republicans are clearly trying to do is ban the industry.
For many farmers, hemp has proved to be a lifeline, a new cash crop. Farmers turn to growing hemp to mitigate the losses they've endured during this season of hardship. But that lifeline may soon be extinguished by this very legislation. The effective hemp ban included in this spending package is a result, we are told, of bad actors skirting the legal limits by overly enhancing the concentration of THC in their products. The hemp industry, myself and others, have come together and we have been willing to negotiate to get rid of the bad actors. And yet, instead, we are met with legislation that would be prohibition.
And Rand Paul is talking about how it's going to be prohibition. Who uses gummies? Actually, Sam and I were just talking off the air. A lot of conservatives use gummies. On this Veterans Day, these gummies, these Delta products, help veterans a lot. People with PTSD, it helps them a lot. People who can't sleep, it helps them a lot. So again, we're talking about how Rand Paul has been talking, he and the industry, the hemp industry, have been negotiating to eliminate some of the bad actors within this industry. But he does say that it is clear that Republicans are trying to kill an entire industry that, Sam, a lot of conservatives use this stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of people that vote conservative may not necessarily identify with the tribalistic moniker of it, but it's going to be pound for pound safer, pun intended, than alcohol. Your worst case scenario, even in a recreational standpoint, isn't going to be, overdosing to the point of liver toxicity and having to be taken to the hospital.
Right.
If you don't know what you're eating, that's on you. But I know plenty of people that are in the upper echelons of local conservative society that use it on a recreational and medicinal basis, and they live totally normal lives.
Do you know what the thing is? I have friends who are conservative, and I'm here to tell you that they are using this stuff, and a lot of veterans use these as well, recreational. So again, I personally believe that this is a big give up to big pharma, the alcohol industry as well. I mean, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but I mean, you got a lot of these conservatives that will say, well, the pharmaceutical industry has plenty of things to help the veterans. You know how expensive that stuff is? Number one. Number two, if you don't have insurance, it is really expensive. And number three, and I don't want to turn into a commercial for these kinds of products, but I will tell you, there have been, I've been talking about this stuff for like years. So many veterans have told me over the years that these Delta products and medicinal marijuana are a godsend for their PTSD, their insomnia, their pain, and their paranoia as well. And Rand Paul, I mean, he was skewering the Republicans for slipping this into the continuing resolution as it goes on over to the House of Representatives. Got more on this straight ahead, but we have serious traffic problems. It is 7:15. Time to check the roads on WTN. As far as your weather goes, mostly sunny today, breezy, high of 53. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Now, the Super Text line is going crazy on this topic, just to let you know. And also on the YouTube chat, which we know to pay attention to as well. We appreciate everybody who listens and watches. What are people saying on the YouTube chat about the Republicans in the Senate trying to put the hemp farmers out of business?
Shout out Beach Hill in the YouTube chat saying Rand Paul finally did something worth a darn. I mean, that's a good. Lots of people in support of it. Turd Ferguson asking me what's the law on it. Well, the law is changing January 1st, apparently, on heavy restrictions on this. But people seem to be in agreement that it's not that big of a deal anymore.
Right.
How many times do we hear of a DUI crash involving somebody under the influence of marijuana?
Right.
Alone. Typically,
Right.
if it's involved with alcohol or something else.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that dangerous.
Well,
if anything,
here's my thing is that the Republicans might go down this road of, it's a gateway drug and all that kind of stuff. So is alcohol. And so if you're gonna ban some of this stuff, then you got to ban alcohol too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to me, I don't think they can talk about how, it's a gateway drug. But see, in my opinion, they can say that. But I think that somewhere the alcohol lobby, Big Pharma, they got to the Republicans. And here's the deal. If you want to talk about it, and we can have this as sort of a standalone measure, if you will, so that we can have the debate, let's have the debate. But to sneak it into the continuing resolution when Rand Paul and this industry, they were talking about this and they were working out various policies and regulations for the last several months, and I guess they were supposed to go for a while into the next several months. This conversation was supposed to continue to unfold. For the Republicans to slip it right in there, which is what Rand Paul is accusing, that's kind of chicken, to be honest with you. I think that's kind of chicken. Here's more real quickly from Rand Paul.
The language in this bill will outlaw all current hemp plants and seeds. It changes the definition of what a hemp plant is. It makes it so low that there may not even be an existing plant that can meet the parameters. But every plant in the country will have to be destroyed. Every hemp seed in the country will have to be destroyed. This is the most thoughtless, ignorant proposal to an industry that I've seen in a long, long time.
Let's see here, 4417. I'm a veteran and a Republican voter. I've had the same bottle of whiskey for 3 years because the hemp product is effective for me.
Yeah, it's if we want to talk regulation, because I get there have bbeen cases, especially in Tennessee, maybe a teenager gets a hold of a bag of gummies, they eat almost the whole thing. Now they're in the ER with heart arrhythmias and having a panic attack because they don't know what they've taken. If you want to regulate things to a certain extent, obviously that needs to be in place so we know what we're taking. It used to be when I was in high school, someone brought in a batch of cookies or brownies. You have no idea if you're going to get one super concentrated or one that's a little more on the mild side.
And 3092 says back to the black market. That is exactly what you're talking about.
Encouraging criminality in order to meet your needs at home.
Brad from Twitter says, Dan, you use gummies. So? Is there a problem with that? I don't
know.
I mean,
last I checked.
That they're legal and they help me sleep. Yeah. I've been talking about that for years, as a matter of fact. Yesterday when I left here, because here's the thing, and the super text line is going crazy. Most people they're coming of one or two sides. Most people agree with Rand Paul. Most people agree with me. I think that it is not illegal. I think that right now you have the Republicans who are trying to do favors for the lobby of Big Pharma, maybe big, I don't know, is there a big alcohol? Whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But I just think that if you're, my mind is always on this Veterans Day 2025. My mind is always on the veterans. And I feel bad for those veterans that depend on these gummies to help them with all of the things that they have to use to deal with the PTSD and all the other things that come with, being in the theater of war. and they're not going to be able to use them anymore.
Yeah.
So now you're going to have doctors saying, well, go get this prescription from this pill from Big Pharma. And it's like, number one, it's expensive. Number two, some of that stuff is really addictive. So I don't know what the Republicans are thinking. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what the Republicans are thinking here. It feels a little, on the surface, if you wanted to go surface, you could say, oh, there's a lot of pearl clutching here. I don't think it's pearl clutching. I think that they've given up to the various
lobbyists.
The lobbyists.
Well, and that would be playing the short-term game. If you're going to be in office for the next, I don't know, 4 to 5 years, yeah, take your lobbyist money. I get it. But if you were to get this regulated on a state-to-state basis, maybe include a federal tax, the government would profit immensely from this. State of Colorado went recreational in 2016.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they have been in the financial black ever since. And they have some of the nicest roads in the country, and no one drives them because it's Colorado.
1701, free the weed. It's not weed. That's the thing. You've got to differentiate between weed and Delta. Yeah, it's a spectrum.
And so what's outlawed is your standard tetrahydrocannabinol, but not the spectrum elements of THCA, THCP, Delta 8. That is what was the loophole in the federal farm bill, and it's authoritarian to try and or authoritarian, as Dan would say.
Shut up.
To try and force that agenda on people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a plant.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. Again, I'm trying to get Dustin Kittle on because he was Dustin Kittle, our farmer lawyer, guy that specializes in that stuff. Because he went off the rails on the socials yesterday talking about this, and he is obviously against it. By the way, people are asking who is behind it. Apparently, one Mitch McConnell, which is bizarre. Do you know what's bizarre about that? What's bizarre about that is that Mitch McConnell is from Kentucky. And Kentucky is going to get a huge hit on this, which is why Rand Paul is going off the rails on this.
Well, and it's medicinal in Kentucky. We took calls, if you remember a couple months ago, a woman saying that her husband who passed away from cancer was on it medicinally in Kentucky, and it was hard to get and it was expensive. This will make it more expensive.
Hey, go ahead, finish, and then I got one.
Oh, it's just there's nothing on the pharmaceutical market when it specifically comes to treating certain ailments that can do what cannabis can do.
So, you're right. And do you know, because, they have these hemp products in, like, you can have hemp-based drinks.
Yep.
I don't go that far, but do you know what city is the top of the list for hemp-based drinks?
Nashville.
That's exactly right.
According to Ken Weaver, it's a $2 billion industry, just the seltzers alone.
All right. It is 7:23 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 615-737-9986 is the number. I don't know. I don't have to give it to you, folks. It is exploding with majority of the people are for this, are for, fighting these Republicans on trying to kill the hemp-based products. I would be curious to hear from somebody on the Super Text line who disagrees with this, who thinks it is a good idea to go ahead and kill these hemp-based products. I'm just curious, whatever. I'm not going to fight about it, but I think about the poor veterans who are dependent on these products. All right, we got to go. 7:24, Joan, what's coming up in the news?
Well, first of all, we still have that closure on 40 westbound in Lebanon this morning. Still there. Also, a Putnam County trailer fire, now the scene of a death investigation. It's coming up here at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. Appreciate it. It is 7:25 now, and Joan, just keep us updated on 40 westbound. Zintex. Dan Mandis here. This is a great way to increase the value of your home with Zintex. How about a bathroom upgrade from Zintex? Now, this is a great company that has a great deal just for listeners to my show. This is a company that I eventually am going to call. My wife and I were just talking the other day. A lot of you folks have been asking, Dan, what about the holes in your bathtub? Have you had Zintex come out and patch the holes yet? No, I've not had Zintex come out and patch the holes in my bathtub just yet. But I will. But listen, what can they do for you? How about converting your bathtub into a walk-in shower? Now, they can do that. And for listeners to my show, you can get $999 off or 0% interest for 2 years, whatever works best for you. Now, Zintex has won awards for ethics from the Better Business Bureau. And last year, they were voted one of the best places to work in the construction industry. And happy employees mean great customer service. Now, remember that great deal with Zintex. You can get $999 off or 0% interest for 2 years, whatever works best for you. And you mentioned WTN, you are going to get a free Kohler toilet with your purchase. Find them online, Zintex, Zintex.com.
Good morning. It is now 7:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories, and want to let you know that we are still watching I-40 westbound this morning. It is closed between Lebanon, Watertown, and Lebanon's exits 239 and 238. It's because of a crash involving 3 tractor trailers, and there is an investigation going on there because that was a fatal accident. So this may be going on for quite a while this morning, and we will continue to keep our eye on it. In the news, Putnam County first responders have a mystery on their hands when fire crews responded to a fire at the site of a single-wide trailer yesterday morning. They'd found it collapsed, and News 2's Peyton Kennedy tells us that's not all they found.
Firefighters searched for hot spots within the debris, and during that process, they say they found human remains. The TBI and the Putnam County Sheriff's Office are helping with the investigation.
The trailer was located on Dyer Ridge Road. Firefighters say there was no electric service at the time of that fire. Another late night on Capitol Hill aimed at reopening the government and the Senate, moving forward now with a group of Democrats joining Republicans.
Many Democrats furious at the compromise. Senator Jean Shaheen's own daughter, who's running for Congress in New Hampshire, opposing her mother's position, posting, "I cannot support this deal," when Speaker Johnson refuses to even allow a vote to extend health care tax credits. California Congressman Ro Khanna calling for Senator Chuck Schumer to be replaced as minority leader, saying if you can't lead the fight to stop health care premiums from skyrocketing for Americans, what will you fight for?
ABC's Lionel Moisey there. House lawmakers are taking today off for Veterans Day. They'll start voting tomorrow afternoon on the revised measure from the Senate. So are you going through thermostat wars as the temperatures get colder outside? Personal comfort can range widely, just as the weather has been ranging widely, too.
Amy and I fight every day.
This is something that goes on in households and businesses all the time.
Every day.
Yeah. So according to the U.S. Department of Energy, the ideal indoor temperature is 68 degrees. Isn't that kind of cold?
So where do you fall in that? Because no, I'm a 68, 69, 70 degree kind of guy.
Yeah.
Amy is all about like 72, 73. And that makes a difference.
Yeah. Oh, big time.
Where are you? Are you a cooler or a hotter kind of?
I'm like 71, but my husband likes it more like 73, 74.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like that. So, yeah, we go through it too.
Amy, you know what Amy said to me one time? Well, Dan, because now I get well, Dan, at home.
By your husband, by your wife?
Mm-hmm.
Oops.
She said, well, Dan, if you'd like to have, a very cold bachelor apartment somewhere, you go right on ahead. But there's 2 other people in this house, and we're all going to be comfortable.
So I guess you're just going along with it now, aren't you?
Okay.
Yeah,
yes,
knew it.
dear.
Yeah. They say, the U.S. Department of Energy, by the way, says you should lower it when you're asleep, even lower than 68, and you should lower it when you leave the home. They say, contrary to popular belief, your heating system doesn't have to work that much harder to reheat the home after you've lowered it. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Dan Mandis here for my friends at Window Nation. Now, listen, if you have a spouse that wants wants to keep the house really warm, what you can do is what I do at night, is I just open up my window from Window Nation in my bedroom. That's what I do. I intentionally let the cold air in to balance out all that heat that Amy has gushing into my room because she always likes it like 73, 74 degrees. Window Nation, though, right now, they've got a great deal going on for listeners to my show. If you want some new windows in your home, take advantage of Window Nation's end-of-year sale going on right now through November. 50% off all window styles. You can get 0% interest financing for 5 years. That's right. Now, these are great windows. I've got 4 in my home, including 2 in my basement studio. Now, they've got an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau, and they've got over 45,000 5-star reviews. So if you want to upgrade the windows in your home, you've got to call my friends at Window Nation. Don't forget that great deal. Take advantage of Window Nation's end-of-year sale going on through this month. You get 50% off all window styles and 0% interest financing for 5 years. Call them. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. My favorite window company. Honestly, Window Nation, my only window company. 866-90-NATION is the phone number. 866-90-NATION, windownation.com. Dan Mandis here for DT McCall's. Listen, this is a great Tennessee company. They are here for their fellow Tennesseans like you and like me, with great prices, great selection, value as well. I'm telling you that for years, these folks have been giving great deals to Middle Tennesseans. They've been helping people out for, count them, 4 generations. And if you need it for your home, they've got it at DT McCall's. Indoor furniture, stuff for your garage, things for your yard, appliances. If it plugs in, they've got it at DT McCall's. They've always got specials going on to save you money. Do yourself a favor. Next time something breaks down, go to their website, dtmccalls.com. They've always got great specials and prices on all the best brands of appliances and furniture. dtmccalls.com. They've been at it for over 100 years with a focus on customer service. And if you buy it, they'll deliver it for free and haul away the old stuff. That's right. 5 locations across Middle Tennessee: Carthage, Cookeville, Lebanon, Lafayette, and Franklin. Always online, dtmccalls.com.
Still closed, 40 westbound between Lebanon, Watertown, and Lebanon exits this morning. That's 239 and 238. It's an overturned vehicle this morning, involved 3 tractor trailers involved, and there was a fatality in that area this morning. So you're going to find that roadway closed down 40 westbound between exit 239 and 238, maybe for a little while longer. Also, you've got a crash on 24 westbound in Laverne past Waldron Road, exit 64. That's a vehicle, by the way, versus a deer. Also, Bell Road in Nashville, east of Brookview Estates Drive. That's the scene of another crash. And in Antioch, Murfreesboro Pike at Mount View Road. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.738, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Jonathan Fahey is going to join me here in a second. I want to get Jonathan's, I know you're on hold, so I want to get your reaction, Jonathan, and everybody listening. I did not cover this yesterday, even though I should have. Bad talk show host. But I had a lot going on yesterday, so I want to go ahead and do this today. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. Did you see this? So he went in front of the United Nations. Did you see this? And he wants the United Nations to step in because Chicago says, the liberals in Chicago says that Donald Trump must be breaking some sort of law as he is sending ICE in to get out the bad guys. Listen to this.
The federal government's immigration enforcement has been marked by violence and an assault on the dignity of all Chicagoans. I call on this council to hold the federal government of the United States to the same standards of accountability you apply elsewhere in the world. No country should be above international law. Wow. I urge the Human Rights Council to consider additional measures of accountability, including a special session to examine the worsening human rights crisis in the United States.
So a few things just real quick, and then I'm going to play some audio from Tom Homan. But he's speaking to the United Nations, asking them to intervene. The United Nations, this is silly, of course, because number one, the United Nations, they don't get involved in domestic issues like this. That's number one. And number two, the United States actually has veto power within the United Nations. So right now, Donald Trump is the United States president, and we could veto if they wanted to step in as ICE is trying to get out the bad hombres in Chicago. but they can't because that's not part of what the United Nations does. The United Nations Charter, they do not interfere with domestic law enforcement. So Brandon Johnson, and I agree with Tom Homan, borders are, when he says...
He just proved he's not that smart, right? I mean, asking the United Nations to talk, interfere with ICE enforcing U.S. law, it's like asking an arsonist how to stop a fire. Because the UN, remember, the IOM, the part of the UN, helped fund the mass migration during the Biden administration 4 years, spending millions upon millions of dollars helping that migration, international migration, come to the United States. So, the United Nations is not going to tell President Trump what to do.
There you go. Tom Homan, want to welcome on into the program. Jonathan Fahey, I thought that it was awfully rich of the Chicago mayor to beg the United Nations for help because obviously, as Tom Homan said, there's a number of things at play. Number one is that is not their purview. That's not the United Nations purview. Donald Trump could veto it if he wanted to. But you know what? ICE is just trying to get out the bad guys.
Yeah, the whole thing with Brandon Johnson, it's almost, I'd really be interested to know if he takes himself seriously because nobody does. And it's just so bizarre. But it just shows how easy it is to be a Democrat politician because Chicago's objectively a disaster, right? Nobody that graduates their high schools can read or do math. Crime is through the roof. Taxes are through the roof. Businesses and people are fleeing in droves, other than illegal aliens. And this guy, that's the way he uses his time. And it just shows you really not just obviously he's not smart, but it just shows you don't need to be smart to really thrive and succeed in Democratic politics. You just have to be able to resort to silly nonsense and do it with a relatively straight face. And you really get elevated within that party. And it's pathetic in multiple ways. And, it's funny. Yeah, ICE is actually getting rid of the bad guys, but Brandon Johnson couldn't care less. He didn't care less about crime before this all started, so he doesn't care at all now. So it's pathetic on multiple levels, but it really just speaks to the Democratic Party more than anything else.
Jonathan, do you think that part of this is narrative control? Like, I truly believe that Brandon Johnson is a stupid individual. I do believe that. He is stupid. But he must know that the United Nations, they don't deal with, domestic law enforcement issues. They just don't. In other words, I think this is all about Brandon Johnson trying to portray the narrative that Donald Trump is committing some sort of, international crime.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree he's stupid, but he's not that stupid. And yeah, you're right. It's all to basically come down on Donald Trump, come down on this immigration enforcement, because the Democrats, that really in so many respects, they promote an anti-American agenda in a lot of respects with the Democratic Party, and certainly a pro-open borders agenda. So anything he can do or they can do to make Donald Trump look bad, make ICE look bad, helps their agenda. But yeah, I agree. He's not, how stupid he is, I don't know. It's probably pretty stupid, but you're right. It doesn't get to this level of stupid. He knows, hey, people will talk about it, and there are people that will at least take it seriously or at least take the focus on or off of what he does as mayor of that city, because by objective standards, he and that governor they have there have been objective failures. And now, instead of being treated as failures, they're treated as actual leaders within the Democratic Party.
I got a headline for you. I don't know if this would surprise you or not, but just posted a couple of hours ago. ICE reportedly standing down in Chicago after 2 months of raids. We're going to talk about that straight ahead. 7:45, time to check the roads on WTN. As far as your weather for today, it is going to be cold. It is very cold, as a matter of fact. Mostly sunny today. Eventually, we will get to a high of 53. And I appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. So President Trump posting on Truth as late as last night, call in the troops fast before it's too late, talking about what is going on in Chicago. But according to the Chicago Tribune, federal immigration agents under the command of Gregory Bovino may soon leave the Illinois metropolitan area as the Trump administration Operation Midway Blitz, winds down after 2 months of contentious raids on alleged undocumented immigrants, they say. So, I mean, the Trump administration, they say they've made more than 3,000 arrests since beginning its operations a couple of months ago. So, I don't know. Do you see, I mean, is it now the time for ICE to stand down? It still feels like there's work to be done in Chicago.
Yeah, it certainly does seem like there's work to be done, and I think it may be more of like this surge or this particular operation. I don't feel like they're standing down and not going to continue to deport people. And you look at, like you said, with this Operation Midway Blitz, I think Trish McLaughlin posted it today on Twitter or on X, talked about how much crime, just crime generally, not just illegal immigration crime, but crime generally has plummeted during this. So most people in Chicago, you know, I don't think most people are reflected in what you see on the streets and see on the news. Most people are way better off and are probably happy about this. But my guess is, you know, they have a lot of people surging from other areas, a lot of Border Patrol that were regularly stationed other places that have been there. So maybe they're going home, maybe they're refocusing, maybe they're, you know, I don't really know. But I don't see any scenario that ICE is going to stop arresting illegal aliens, particularly the criminals, and particularly the fact that we are getting all of these new ICE agents brought online and Border Patrol agents brought online over the next probably 6 months or so. So I think they're going to stay at a high level, but this particular operation may wind down.
You know, we have the president bringing in, I think probably 4 cities, right? Well, 5, 6, 7. You got Portland, L.A., Chicago. You've got Memphis. You've got, of course, Washington, D.C. And each city seems to have its own unique legal challenges. And so I'm sort of become lost in all of the various court rulings as it makes its way through the legal system. At some point, do you think the Supreme Court is just going to say, listen, the president is allowed to bring ICE into these cities and they're allowed to do what they're doing? And then, of course, you're going to have, you know, all kinds of mayhem ensue if they actually side with Donald Trump. Where are all the legal processes these days? Like, where are we at?
Yeah, I think there are a number of cases. You know, there's the National Guard case in the Ninth Circuit. There are cases I believe in Chicago. I believe it's the Seventh Circuit. So I think what's going to ultimately happen is they are going. One of these cases will get to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is going to say 2 things. One, it's Donald Trump's judgment alone to decide when the National Guard is needed to enforce federal law, or meaning if federal law is not able to be enforced because of all the obstruction, you could bring, you know, the National Guard in. And I think that's where they're going to come out on this. And it's very interesting when you see Gavin Newsom and Pritzker and what's going on in Oregon. These leaders there actually make the best case for bringing in the National Guard because they're using their authority, meaning Pritzker and Newsom. I don't know the name of the person in Oregon, but they're using their authority to prevent federal law from being enforced, which is almost the definition of why you can bring it in when they're unable, meaning the federal government, to enforce federal law with regular forces. Well, you have the states fighting them, so that they're the best advocates for the National Guard. And it is funny, the 2 guys that seem like they're, jockeying to be the Democrat alpha, basically Newsom and Pritzker, those are the states that are having the problems. And it's kind of funny. It's like, are there really are these problems really just created by these 2 governors? Because you don't hear about these problems in other states, particularly in red states. So it does show that a lot of these are manufactured in a bad way. You know, like you look at Pritzker is basically a larger version in many ways of Brandon Johnson. And he would be a nobody. He'd be a failed governor, but now he's a leader within that party. He gets on the Sunday shows, and this guy has no business being on those shows, but because he's against Trump, they put him on there, and because he's pro-open borders, pro-amnesty, they put him on there. So he gets this platform by simply defying federal law being enforced, which actually should be a disqualifying factor, not an enhancement to his resume.
Well, you know, you read things like this. I shared this briefly with folks yesterday. Bill Malugin reporting that his sources within ICE have confirmed that a drunken illegal alien from Mexico has killed an elderly woman in Orange County, California. He's had an active deportation order since 2012. A 57-year-old Humberto Muñez Garcia, a Mexican national, was arrested by ICE in 2011 for being in the U.S. illegally. He was released by the Obama administration, ICE, with a notice to appear in court, never, of course, showed up, and was ordered deported in absentia by a federal immigration judge in 2012. I mean, he's been a fugitive for years, and now we have yet another American dead. So we see these stories, and it is stunning that the Democrats don't have the self-awareness to realize that they literally have blood on their hands.
Yeah, exactly. And if it wasn't for Bill Maloogian being all over this issue, we wouldn't really even know, and we still really don't even know the scope of how many of these there are. But, you know, it's people like him that have been all over this issue that really has brought it to the attention. But, yeah, you're exactly right, because and the worst thing about it is with these Democrat sanctuary cities policies, in some states, even if this person were convicted of this particular crime now, they'd release him back into the United States, which is it's beyond shocking, but that's the way the Democrats view this. Everyone wants to stay. They view these illegal aliens as either current or future voters. Yep. But we don't have any idea how many crimes have been committed by illegal aliens, because it's very hard to track that. But thankfully, you know, Bill is all over this. But yeah, there are people that are dead today that should still be alive. We always have talked about Laken Riley, but there are many, many more of these people that should be alive, and they didn't even deport the people that were ordered deported. And I think there's over 1 million people that have already been ordered deported by an immigration judge, and those are the people the Democrats still fight to keep in the country. It's so shameful.
It is shameful, and I believe that, you know, a lot of people are upset with this interview that Donald Trump gave to Laura Ingraham last night. I don't know if you've seen it. I don't know if you've heard about it. But the president said a few things that some would consider non-MAGA. And I'm encouraging people that even though there's some things that I disagree with Donald Trump as well that he said last night, you've got to keep everything in its proper perspective. He's got some work to do on the prices of groceries. That is well understood. I don't like the fact that he wants to bring in 600,000 Chinese students, which we're going to talk about in the 8 o'clock hour. But look at where we were 2 years ago with Joe Biden. You've got to keep that in perspective. Any final thoughts, Jonathan?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, he is so tuned into these issues and actually addressing it so effectively. And the one thing I think he should get credit for that he doesn't enough is he listens to people, and he's willing to, you know, listen to other people's perspectives, and that's a good quality. And the fact that, you know, you can't there's nobody you will agree with 100% of the time, and nor do you want somebody like that. But overall, things are going in a phenomenally good direction. Look at overdose deaths at the end of this year. Look at crime stats. We will see massive drops in that, and that will be because of what he's been doing.
All right, Jonathan, how can people follow you on X?
John for Fairfax, JONFORFAIRFAX. Any door prizes for new followers?
No. We barely get paid around here. We can't even keep the heat on, Jonathan, in like 30-degree temperature. We've had computer meltdowns 2 mornings in a row, Jonathan.
You get a nice pat on the back. What more could you expect?
That's exactly right, Jonathan.
Yeah.
You know what? If I would say this to Jonathan Fahey, if you can just get one ex-follower, it's all worth it being on my show. Right. So somebody give Jonathan, like even if it's like a sympathy follower, like I've got thousands of sympathy followers, just give Jonathan a sympathy follow. He's got some great stuff on his X feed. I like to say that I do too. Some of y'all may disagree, but whatever. But give Jonathan a follow, would you? John for Fairfax. You want to follow me, you can find him there. Jonathan Fahey. It is 7:54 on Nashville's Morning News. I guess I'll go ahead and play that again. Now it's coming. The computer knew I was talking about it. Joan was coming up.
Coming up, the shutdown is coming to an end now, but the frustration for flyers is only getting worse. And we'll tell you what happened last night at a TPUSA event that landed a few people in jail. That's at 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Oh, and I want to also just mentioned that 40 westbound between Lebanon, Watertown, and Lebanon still closed down.
Wow.
Serious accident there involving a fatality. So it is still closed on 40 westbound this morning.
All right. Thank you, Joan. 7:55, Nashville's Morning News. King and Associates, Dan Mandis here. Now, if you need to save money on insurance, check out my friends at King and Associates Insurance. So many of my listeners have reached out and let me know that they've been able to save and save big with King and Associates. Now, one guy that I know, been telling you this story, his 16-year-old daughter got into a car accident. Now, they still saved him thousands of dollars when the time came for new insurance. Now, you know why that is? Because at King & Associates Insurance, they know that life happens. And as independent agents, they can find you the best deal for your family. They're going to weed out the non-competitive companies and find the best options for you and keep the communication flawless. Now, check them out today. tkinginsurance.com. That is tkinginsurance.com. That phone number is 615-321-8121, 615-321-8121, tkinginsurance.com. All right, 7:56, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Dan here. Listen, if you've got a special occasion coming up and you need a special gift, go to my friends at Brentwood Jewelry. It is where I go. Now, the holidays are coming up. You need, I don't know, guys, for the ladies in your life, you need a really nice necklace, a bracelet, maybe some rings or maybe some earrings. Brentwood Jewelry is the place you've got to go. For the guys out there, money clips, cufflinks. They've got watches for everyone and every budget, by the way, at Brentwood Jewelry. Now, if you have a family heirloom, maybe an old watch that needs repair, maybe a ring that needs to be reset, Brentwood Jewelry can do it for you. Now, they've got great merchandise, terrific prices for every single budget. Now, this is a family-owned business. They've been in Middle Tennessee for over 50 years. Brentwood Jewelry is the official jewelry store of my house. And yes, they are here to help you. Find them online. It is BrentwoodJewelry.com, 7012 Church Street East, located in the heart of Brentwood, just off Franklin Road. Exceptional style, exceptional deals every day for over 50 years. BrentwoodJewelry.com.
Good morning. It is 8 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. There is a crash on I-40 that has the roadway shut down in Lebanon this morning. It's between the Sparta Pike exit 239, and the Murfreesboro Road exit 238. 3 tractor trailers, 1 a fatality in that spot this morning. That's been closed for quite a while. We've got our eye on it, and we'll keep you updated. In the news, the Senate knuckled down on reopening the government last night. ABC's Lionel Moisey.
A major hurdle has been cleared to reopen the government as soon as Wednesday. The Senate last night narrowly passing its bill to keep the government funded through January 30th. 8 Democrats not up for re-election next year broke ranks to vote with Republicans, even though the deal does not include Democrats' key demand to extend Obamacare subsidies and prevent insurance premiums from skyrocketing.
The House could vote on that bill as early as tomorrow. Make that, yes, tomorrow. And if it does pass, it'll go to the president's desk for his signature as well. Now, while the shutdown is coming to an end, people who fly aren't getting help fast enough. As of yesterday, more than 2,400 flights were canceled. There were 9,000 flight delays at the nation's airports. And today, the FAA is set to increase the number of flights to be canceled to 6%, on the way to 10% by Friday if the shutdown isn't settled. At a TPUSA campus event last night at the University of California. It was a mass brawl led by demonstrators wearing keffiyehs and carrying signs with left-wing messages. Fights broke out between those demonstrators and people attending the event, and police were being pelted as well. At least 2 people have been arrested. Louisville's mayor says investigators have found all the victims of the UPS cargo plane crash for now, but there is work to do to identify those victims. Louisville's WLKY reporter Norman Seawright.
Not only do cleanup teams have to decontaminate everything that goes into or comes out of the crash site, Louisville Emergency Services Director Jody Myman says with every bit of wreckage that's moved, first responders search thoroughly in case there are any other victims.
There's a lot of heavy equipment that's being moved. And as that equipment is being moved or the debris is being moved, we stop and we go search that area.
And business owners are still being kept away as well as the cleanup continues. You'll want to bundle up if you're headed to the Veterans Day Parade this morning. Starts at 11 o'clock on Broadway from 13th Avenue to 1st Avenue. But you'll want to watch the streets around the parade route starting to shut down about 9:30 this morning. Right now, it's 25 degrees, and we're headed to around 51 later on today. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Yes, stocks are trading today on Veterans Day. Dow futures are plus 28 right now. The NASDAQ futures down 118. S&P futures, they're down 16. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. It is still closed on 40 westbound between Lebanon, Watertown, and Lebanon exits 239 and 238 because of an overturned vehicle. Still there this morning. It's 3 tractor trailers involved and a fatal investigation. Also, 440 westbound in Woodbine, a crash that has the left shoulder blocked off before Nolansville Pike. A crash on Bell Road east of Brookview Estates in Nashville. Also, Antioch, Murfreesboro Pike at Mount View Road. That's the scene of another crash. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.806 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. Hope you are doing well. Am I up now? What?
Yeah, you're up.
I can't hear anything in my headphones.
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Why can't you hear me?
Unfortunately.
Whatever. Now that I heard. 806 Nashville's Morning News. I'm just going to continue like everything's normal, okay? But I can't hear anything in my headphones. Not a big deal. 615-737-9986. President said this yesterday. You know, somebody, some folks, I think one person, only one so far, has asked me if I'm still a Donald Trump supporter. What? My entire shtick today has been put everything in perspective. There's a lot of MAGA people today who are upset with Donald Trump's couple of things that Donald Trump said yesterday. But and so I'm going through them as I cover the news every single day and I give my opinion. And so the president said a few things that I would say are decidedly anti-MAGA. And so we're going to go through them. But am I still a Donald Trump supporter? Are you kidding me? Of course I'm still a Donald Trump supporter. It's like what, I've been saying all morning long. And Jonathan Fahey actually talked a little bit about this as well, where I look at my relationship with the president or, frankly, any politician. We're going to agree on some stuff. We're going to disagree on other stuff, just like with your friends, just like your family, and just like, your spouse. I mean, you don't disconnect just because of one disagreement, do you? No, you don't. But this is one of those comments from yesterday that people listened to Donald Trump say, and they kind of freaked out a little bit.
But I have to view the presidency as a worldwide situation, not locally. I mean,
What? Are you kidding me? Folks, I want you to think about this. I'm not excited about this comment, and you shouldn't be either. I get what you're saying, that the president needs to be hyper-focused on what is happening here in America. But I want you to listen to everything that he says in this soundbite.
But I have to view the presidency as a worldwide situation, not locally. I mean, we could have a world that's on fire where wars come to our shores very easily if you had a bad president. We had a horrible president, and we ended up with Russia, Ukraine, and we ended up with other disasters, too. Don't forget, I put out 8 wars, 9 to come. I think I'll get the other one taken care of, but I put out 8 wars. And look at the damage that Russia, Ukraine has done to us as a country. I mean, we spent $350 billion. We're not spending any money anymore. Now they pay us through NATO.
So I get what the president is saying. What the president is saying, because I know that people were triggered by that one little comment where he's got to be focused on the world and not just, as he says, locally, which is America. But what happens around the world that does impact America? And he just gave a prime example where he says, listen, Russia, Ukraine, ultimately, under Joe Biden, of course, y'all know that Joe Biden just, blank check diplomacy gave, billions of dollars to Ukraine to battle Russia. So that did impact us. And we could make the argument about Israel and Hamas and what is going on in the Middle East. I do believe that does impact America. Other people are going to say we don't. That seems to be one of the big arguments going on right now within the conservative movement. But President Trump, he is correct that what happens around the world does impact us here in America. So when he said that I've got to lead globally so that he can be effective, he can be an effective leader here at home. I understand what the president meant.
I got NATO to go from 2% to 5%. Well, that's very important. When you're president, you really sort of have to watch over the world because you're going to be dragged into it. Otherwise, you're going to be dragged into a world war. I think if I weren't president, first of all, that war would have never happened if I was president. And if I weren't president, that war could have led to World War III. It won't. It's not going to anymore. But when I first got in, I said, wow, this situation could lead to World War III. And I got NATO together. I got everybody together. But with all of that, I passed a great, big, beautiful bill, which is the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country. So when somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's now catering to the other side, I don't know what, I guess she's, got some kind of an act going, but I'm surprised at her. But when somebody like Marjorie goes over and starts making statements like that, it shows she doesn't know. I don't devote.
All right, so that is Trump. And he was talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene. As you may or may not know, we talked about it. She's been going off onto places like The View, and I don't remember where else she's gone. But Marjorie Taylor Greene does seem now to be the darling of the left. You know how this works, right? So if you are a Republican and you start bashing the president or having disagreements with the president, all of a sudden, you are cause celeb for the left, for the Democrats. Oh, we've got a former hardcore Donald Trump supporter. And suddenly she's speaking out against some of the things that the president is doing. And suddenly Marjorie Taylor Greene is on The View. So now that is how she's making a name for herself. Perhaps we'll get into that coming up maybe tomorrow or something. Marjorie Taylor Greene, if this is what she's going to do, that's what she's going to do. Listen, Marjorie Taylor Greene, if we're going to celebrate John Fetterman as coming over to our side when it comes to the big, beautiful bill or the continuing resolution, well, Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing what she's going to do. As long as she votes conservatively, and I haven't seen where she's going with a lot of this, but I think that she is most likely enjoying the limelight. I think that she is probably enjoying the love fest that is happening right now because she is willing to go after Donald Trump and say, well, I think that he's making a mistake here or there. That's going to happen. That is going to happen. And by the way, one of the things that she said, and I don't want to get into a Marjorie Taylor Greene thing this morning, but part of this is that she really is going after Mike Johnson. I know we talked about that a few days ago, where she is really going after the Speaker of the House because she feels like he is rather inept. And by the way, I think that there is a lot of things that Mike Johnson has done that probably could have been managed better. So maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow. But her main gripe with Mike Johnson is that she doesn't feel like he is managing the House the way that it needs to be managed. But that's not where I want to go right now. Where I want to go is Donald Trump and these 600,000 Chinese students. Now, this really set off MAGA because a lot of people are saying MAGA is furious about all of this. We're gonna talk about that straight ahead. What I want to do is I want to check traffic because we have a big problem on 40 westbound trying to come into Nashville. So it is coming up on 8:15. Time to check the roads on WTN. As far as your weather goes, mostly sunny today, breezy, high of 53 as well. Thanks for listening to Nashville's Morning News. This was Laura Ingraham. And again, this is an interview that a lot of people are focused on this morning. I've been playing selected audio bites throughout the morning. This is Donald Trump on the 600,000 Chinese students that he wants to let into our American universities, a concept I believe is just dumb. and not America first.
Why, sir, is that a pro-MAGA position when so many American kids want to go to school and there are places not for them, and these universities are getting rich off Chinese money?
Sure. Never said about China, but we do have a lot of people coming in from China. We always have, China and other countries. We also have a massive system of colleges and universities. And if we were to cut that in half, which perhaps makes some people happy, you would have half the colleges in the United States go out of business.
So what?
Well, I think that's a big deal.
Are they fans
You would have the
fans of
historically,
the United States?
Yeah, but you would have, as you know, historically, black colleges and universities would all be out of business. You would have a system of colleges and universities would
So
go
we're
down the
dependent on
tubes.
China to keep our university system
but
going?
I think it's good to have. I actually think it's good to have outside countries. Look, I want to be able to get along with the
They're
world.
not the French. They're the Chinese. They spy on us. They steal our intellectual property.
What, do you think the French are better?
Yeah.
Did Donald Trump really say that the French are just as bad as the Chinese? So here's the thing. You heard Donald Trump say that he wants to get along with the rest of the world. That's fine. I totally get that. But this isn't a popularity contest. The whole point of MAGA was putting America first, not selling out to Xi Jinping. And so that's the thing. There's no way in you know where that we should be letting 600,000 Chinese students into this country. And you heard Trump say basically that the French are as bad as the Chinese, which is clearly wrong. And here's what I would have countered with the president. I would have said, listen, in your first administration, you had an entire program called the China Initiative through the Department of Justice to watch the Chinese espionage efforts. You didn't have the French initiative, you had the China Initiative. I understand that the leaders of the world, I used to call them the Cool Kids Club. I understand that the Cool Kids Club, you know, the Macron and all these other leaders from, you know, Germany and Canada and so forth, they all think that they're the cool leaders across the world and that you feel like you're part of the outside. And perhaps Donald Trump wants to feel like he is, you know, part of the in crowd. I really don't know. But the French are not nearly as bad or pervasive as the Chinese. Now, Trump may not like the French. He may not like the French leader, but they're not as bad as the Chinese, clearly.
Really? I don't know. I'll tell you, I'm not so sure. We've had a lot of problems with the French where we get taxed very unfairly on our technology, where, you know, they put 25% taxes on American products. Look, assuming everyone treats us badly, because that's the way I am, but we take in trillions of dollars from students. You know, the students pay more than double when they come in from most foreign countries. I want to see our school system thrive, but at the same time, I know you and I disagree. We're never going to agree on it, but that's okay. And it's not that I want them, but I view it as a business. We have millions and millions of people. Also, you don't want to cut half of the people, half of the students from all over the world that are coming into our country, destroy our entire university and college system. I don't want to do that.
I wouldn't lose any.
And don't forget, MAGA was my idea. MAGA was nobody else's idea. I know what MAGA wants better than anybody else. And MAGA wants to see our country thrive.
So you heard what President Trump said right there at the end. I started MAGA, and I know what MAGA wants, and MAGA wants our country to succeed. I don't know. You think MAGA wants to see 600,000 Chinese coming into our country? No. And part of conservatism is competition. And if these schools cannot survive without importing hundreds of thousands of Chinese students, well, here's the deal. These 600,000 Chinese students will turn around and either spy on us or take American jobs. So if you've got a college that can't survive without all of these Chinese students, well, then maybe they don't survive. Top schools for Chinese students: USC in Los Angeles, NYU, of course, New York, University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, Purdue in Indiana, UC Berkeley, UC San Diego, University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, UCLA, and UPenn. Now, Vandy way back here in Nashville, Vandy way back in 2020 had all of 706. Now, they've more than doubled that at 1,500. That's right, 1,500. They say it has slowed a little, but that's how many we have. Crazy thing, though. Just back in May, I want you to think about how quickly the world changes. Back in May, the State Department had Chinese students in the crosshairs because of espionage. That's right. Camp Grayling in Michigan. 5 Chinese nationals were caught spying on one of our military installations. They were students at the University of Michigan. 2 Chinese nationals were caught illegally entering our Key West military base illegally. They were taking drone photos of naval bases in Norfolk, Virginia. And another Chinese national and student at Illinois Institution of Technology was sentenced to 8 years in prison after he was convicted of espionage and trade secrets. So I could go on and on about all of the issues that we've had with these Chinese students and these Chinese folks coming into our country and then finding out that, we have been spied on and they get busted for espionage. But how many of those 600,000 of those Chinese folks are going to be spying on America? And I know it's not going to be every single one, but I just don't think that we need 600,000 of these folks coming into our country every single year. Don't cozy up to your enemy. Don't educate your enemy, which is exactly what Donald Trump is doing. So basically, Trump is saying that in this answer, he wants to get along with the rest of the world. I kind of get that. But then he tries to justify importing these 600,000 Chinese students. And there is no justification for that. I mean, I haven't even gone down the road of the abuse of the visa system, where you have all of these students from India that also come into our country and also take the jobs of our young college graduates, and the rampant abuse that is happening in those particular visa programs. So there were some parts of this program, of this interview with Laura Ingraham, where the president, he didn't do real well. I'm just going to tell you, he didn't do real well. Does that mean that I'm not a supporter of Donald Trump? I'm a huge supporter of Donald Trump, which is why I talk about these things. Bottom line is, I think that maybe, perhaps, the president is listening to the wrong people. I mean, he pardoned Glenn Cassida and Cade Cothran. I told you whenever that was, a few days ago. That was a big mistake. I think bringing in 600,000 Chinese students is a huge mistake. I think the president has made some mistakes, but you know what else? I think the president has done a lot right. He has done a lot right. And again, and this whole show has been sort of the thread has been, look at all the president has done right. And so for me, it's not an all or nothing. We agree to disagree. Remember, cancel culture is from the left. And so if there's one thing or two things that you may disagree with him on, okay, well, you disagree with him on that. But realize what happens when the Democrats are in charge. I beg you to remember what those 4 years was like with Joe Biden. It is 8:24 in Nashville's Morning News. Joan's got the news coming up at 8:30. Joan.
Yeah, it's still closed down on 40 westbound between Lebanon Watertown exit and Lebanon this morning. Stop traffic because of a 3 tractor trailer pileup. And also a fatality in that this morning as well. So again, 40 westbound is still closed. We'll take a look also at why the Smyrna Library is closed down. By the way, it has to do with the books it offers for children. It's coming up here at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$8:25, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Dan Mann is here. Now listen, right now the Wellness Institute of Nashville, they can help your chronic back and neck pain. For just $12, you can get started. $12 is the Big Daddy Trump special. $12 gets you a comprehensive exam, x-rays if you need them, a well-explained diagnosis, and that first treatment, all for just $12. So listen, friends, if you've got back or neck pain, if you've got sciatica, slipped or bulging spinal discs, herniated discs, spinal stenosis, numbness or weakness in the arms and legs, fingers or toes, we can help you at the Wellness Institute of Nashville with their state-of-the-art non-surgical spinal decompression. No surgery, no spinal injections, and no painkillers. Call them, tell them Dan told you to reach out. Ask for that Big Daddy Trump special. $12 for that comprehensive exam, x-rays if you need them, a well-explained diagnosis, and that first treatment, all for just $12. Call them, tell them I told you to reach out. 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009, painisbad.com. You know, been talking about Veterans Day all day today, and a happy Veterans Day to you veterans. And, you know, Legend Steakhouse and their sister restaurant, the Brass Lantern, they are showing gratitude this Veterans Day by offering free meals to active and retired military today, Veterans Day, November 11th. Now, this special offer is available to all Legend Steakhouse locations, Columbia, Pulaski, Smyrna, Shelbyville, and the Brass Lantern in Lawrenceburg. The complimentary meal features guest choice of any entree listed on the menu. You got to bring your valid military ID. It is required to participate in the Veterans Day promotion. Now, since 1988, Legend Steakhouse and the Brass Lantern have been serving high-quality, made-from-scratch dishes and some of the best steaks you can find across Middle Tennessee and northern Alabama. The restaurants have an ongoing commitment to excellent service and exceptional quality, and a great deal today. Legend Steakhouse and the Brass Lantern both showing gratitude this Veterans Day by offering free meals to active and retired military here today, November 11th.
Good morning. It's 8:30 now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top story. So that accident on I-40 westbound looks like the roadway is still closed. Lebanon, Watertown through the Lebanon exits. But TDOT is saying that they're expecting for that the roadway to be reopened within moments. They have at least told that to Fox 17 this morning. I'm going to keep an eye on it and see if they actually do open the roadway. In the news, the Smyrna Library unexpectedly closing its doors. News 2's Nikki McGee says it came after a warning about the books on the shelves.
According to the library system's Facebook page, Tennessee's Secretary of State sent 3 letters calling for an immediate age appropriateness review of the library's youth reading section and a report of any books that might be in violation of state or federal laws. The letter also mentions an executive order from President Trump saying federal dollars cannot be used to purchase books that promote gender ideology or that someone can change genders after they're born.
The Rutherford County Library Alliance, however, defending its decision to include books on the transing of children and gender ideology in the children's section. Major League Baseball making a new move to protect the integrity of that sport as it faces a new gambling scandal. The league changing the rules after 2 Cleveland Guardian pitchers were accused of rigging the pitches to benefit sports gamblers.
Luis Ortiz has been released on a $500,000 bond. He denies the allegations. Emmanuel Clase, accused of leading the illegal betting scheme, is reportedly out of the country. His lawyer also denying the charges. Prosecutors say both players conspired with bettors to rig pitches so that the bettors would profit, while they sometimes receive bribes and kickback payments themselves.
That's ABC's Victor Akendo. This is Veterans Day. No mail delivery today. Banks and federal government offices are closed. The stock market, however, is open. Some specials for those heroes among us, veterans and active duty military personnel eat free at Applebee's today. There's a select menu. Breakfast is free this morning at Cracker Barrel. Olive Garden has a free meal from a special menu. Now, I'm posting a link, or I already have, to find the many offers that are available for our veterans on my X account. You can find me there at Joan Jones WTN. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management online at beaconcm.com. Stocks just beginning to trade here, and it looks like the Dow Jones Industrial is opening up 37 points higher. NASDAQ falling 93. S&P 500 index is down 10 points. That's the latest news. We've got traffic and weather ahead. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
8:33, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. How do I depend on Xfinity? Let me count the ways. I've got a lot riding on my rock-solid internet from Xfinity. Riker, all of his homework and all of that gaming. Amy, of course, working all day long from home. And, of course, yours truly, always prepping and doing shows for my basement as well. All of that, of course, courtesy of my friends at Xfinity. I've been a client long before I was an endorser. And by the way, if something does go wrong, they can make it right with 24/7 customer service for whenever you need it. And you know, with Riker in the house, he is almost 12. It's critical that we're able to check out what he's watching online. And with Xfinity, you can. You can depend on these folks, so check them out today. 1-800-XFINITY is the phone number. 1-800-XFINITY. Find them online, xfinity.com, or stop by a store today.
We were hoping that it would be gone by now, but it is not. 40 westbound still closed. Sparta Pike exit through the Murfreesboro Road exit. Traffic is stopped from Linwood Road, exit 245. That's where traffic is being taken off the roadway. It's an accident involving 3 tractor trailers, and there was a fatality involved there and some serious injuries as well. So this is taking a while. Also, on 40 eastbound in Dixon, just before Centerville-Dixon Road, you've got an accident and a crash at Tucker's Crossroads. 40 westbound as well. At the off-ramp to Linwood Road, that's where they were offloading the traffic. Wow, there's an accident there too, and the off-ramp is partially blocked off. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.836 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk. This month, Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, they are serving a big savings and, yes, big gratitude. Got a clogged drain? Don't wait. Get our 93 or free mainline opening special. That's right. Only $93. And by the way, if Busy Bee cannot figure out what the problem is, that service is actually free. Offer valid for single-family homes only. It is important, by the way, to do this heading into the holidays, and here we are at this really cold season right now. And at only $93, it is a big-time savings courtesy of Busy Bee. And we're honoring our heroes. One veteran is going to win a 50-gallon hot water heater with an expansion tank and installation. Just give us a photo in uniform to enter. Winner is going to be announced today, actually. Veterans Day, November 11th. Keep an eye on their Facebook page if you're feeling festive. Submit your favorite Thanksgiving recipe, and you could win $2,000 off. That's $2,000 off a new HVAC install. Runner-up, by the way, is going to get $1,000 off. Winners announced again on Facebook Live on November 21st. Tell him Dan Mandis told you to reach out. 615-775-7833. 615-775-7833. Find them online anytime, busybeehvac.com, busybeehvac.com, Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, where comfort meets care.
Childbearing years. After nearly
.638 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you. Mason's here in for Sam. Apparently, Joan, Sam couldn't take any more of you and he had to leave early.
Is it? I think it was that he had to go to school.
No.
He said his threshold is much lower on Tuesdays for
I
Joan.
got your threshold right here.
Okay. Calm down.
Watch it. She's going to make you eat another hairy fig.
Oh, stop.
By the way, so I don't know if you heard, Chris, and we don't have the audio. We did play it in the 5, but Murphy Show blamed me for what you did in vandalizing the studio.
Yeah, Chris.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
I walk in, and this was this morning, and there's clearly like particle spray all over the $5 keyboard, the $15 phone thingy here, and $17 phone thingy, and this little mixer thing over here. Probably what, $25?
Yeah.
Thing. So,
but what you're seeing is the leftover of the spray. What you're not seeing is the COVID germs that Dan left all over the studio.
I had no COVID.
If that's COVID, that was the quickest recovery from COVID we've ever seen.
He said he slept for 14 hours.
I did. I slept for 14 hours yesterday. That's not COVID. That's exhaustion.
Little chicken soup for the soul.
No, there's no. Do you know this is? Do you know what the only thing I ate yesterday is? You're going to be shocked by this. Joan, can you guess what the only thing I ate yesterday was?
A grilled cheese sandwich.
You know what? That's a very good guess. No. Chris, you're never going to guess. So just say, I don't know.
Figs from Joan's garden.
No hairy figs. I did tell my wife I want hairy figs in the house, though, just so you know, Joan.
Okay.
Do you know that the only
It's a good
thing...
porn star name.
Yeah.
Hairy fig?
Hairy figs.
I ate a scoop of hot fudge.
Just a scoop of hot fudge.
That's it. And then I went back to bed. That's what I ate.
Wow.
Do you have...
Are you pregnant? Is that what's going on?
Well...
Are you one of those birthing persons?
It may look like
that we hear about?
Yeah, keep beating that. I'll look 8 months pregnant as opposed to right now 6. Do you have a thing like that you have guilty pleasure? Do you have something like that?
What do you mean?
Like a guilty pleasure, like if you're having a bad whatever and you eat something that is deliciously wonderful that you know that you shouldn't eat.
I don't emotionally eat. No.
I'm a totally emotional eater, actually.
But I did order some insomnia cookies last night at like 10 o'clock for me and the wife.
Insomnia cookies?
Yes.
What are those?
Just a little cookie shop down the street. So I got them from the Uber Eats.
What is in these insomnia cookies?
Just regular cookies, but they're good.
Is there anything in those cookies that might help you sleep?
There's no antifreeze like the crumble cookies, but they're pretty good.
Chocolate chips.
Chocolate chips.
Yeah.
Melatonin?
No, none of that.
Delta 8?
No.
Okay. I'm just asking a question.
No, that's going to be banned soon.
It
You're
is. Thanks to the Republicans.
Yep.
What is going on?
The no fun Republicans is what I'm going to call them.
Yep.
Joan, you have very quickly, Joan, besides the hairy figs, do you have what is your guilty pleasure?
I like to get a spoon and get a big spoonful of peanut butter.
Mm.
Yeah.
So in the news at some point, Joan Jones choking on peanut butter. You know, my mother almost choked to death on peanut butter.
Really?
What? Yeah, my mom almost choked on peanut butter. She was like you, Joan. She would eat peanut butter. What do you call that? Raw, whatever.
Yeah.
She would have big. Yeah. Did you know? Google this right now, Chris.
That would be an embarrassing way to go.
How many people die of mainlining peanut butter? Of eating peanut butter straight off the spoon.
Is that what you call it?
No, probably not. I think mainlining is something different. So that's how you people know that I'm not a drug addict. I don't even know what Mason's a druggie. Hey, Mason, what does mainlining mean?
Wow.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Mainlining is something like in your arm, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, you know what? Hey, Joan, if you don't want to choke to death on peanut butter, mainline.
Dan's pushing fake news, by the way.
There are
no.
There are no official statistics on how many people die from mainlining peanut butter each year.
Well, you said mainlining.
But
how many people choke to death on peanut butter?
That's what it says officially. I changed the verbiage to be more hip and cool.
He's trying to.
Sticky foods like peanut butter, though, do increase the risk of choking.
There you go. So, Joan.
Yeah.
It's been nice knowing you. So, do you know what my mom had to do? She actually told me about this. She had to find a chair because she was a nurse. Remember?
She had to Heimlich herself?
She had to Heimlich herself.
Wow.
She Heimlicked herself.
What a beast.
I know. She was like,
She must have been scarfing it down because I think it takes a lot to really cause you to choke.
I don't know. I didn't ask her how much peanut butter she choked on, just that she choked on peanut butter. And I said, Mom, what is wrong with you? You know that statistics show.
So that's fake news, Danny.
Fake. Danny.
She did. She called me Danny all the time.
Hot dogs are the leading food-related cause of choking deaths.
Okay, do you know why that is? Because that stupid Nathan's hot dog eating contest they do every year. People actually die during that stupid hot dog eating contest. You ever seen that, Joan?
Yeah.
People actually
used
die.
to watch that, yeah.
Do people really
They've
choke
never
on
died
hot
during
dogs?
that, right?
They say that's the biggest one.
Hot dogs?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Hot dogs and other foods cut into coin shapes are the leading cause of choking fatalities.
Are hairy figs on the list?
Nope.
Yeah, what other foods are cut into coin shapes?
I don't know. I'm just reading.
Coin shape. Okay.
Well,
Coin shape.
Well,
kielbasa.
Otherwise known as a fancy hot dog. Kielbasa is a fancy hot dog. Is it not?
Polish.
I guess.
Yeah. But here's a clue, folks. If you don't want to choke on a coin-shaped piece of food, chew.
Pro tip. Don't eat, and then you don't have to worry about choking.
Listen, all you got to do is eat hot fudge and hairy figs. You'll be okay.
This is 2025. You can get your nutrients through an IV. No worry of choking.
1822. How about a peanut butter suppository? You know?
But why would you?
Won't be choking on it.
Whatever. All right. Hey, real quick, what did you bring to this?
I found a news story that I thought was interesting, and I'd love to get the group's comments on it.
Okay.
There's a 34-year-old woman suing an ex-boyfriend.
Okay.
Demanding compensation because she had her childbearing years stolen from her.
Oh,
let's listen to this.
A 34-year-old woman is demanding her ex-boyfriend pay compensation, claiming he stole her childbearing years. After nearly a decade together, she says her 38-year-old ex ended things just as she was ready to start a family. She said she put her career and her goals on hold, believing they'd have kids, and now wants him to cover fertility treatments like egg freezing or IVF. Now, the story from the New York Post has gone viral, sparking a debate. Some call it justified. Others say it's absurd to blame an ex. Legal experts say her case wouldn't hold up in court, but it is raising some questions about love, timing, and who really pays the price when relationships end. So what do you think? Does she have a point? Let us know.
Love and timing.
I'm sorry, when did we enslave women in this country?
That's a good point.
John?
Oh, we didn't. Yeah. Despite all those people that look like the handmaid, whatever.
Oh.
Listen to the quote from the New York Post article. He tells me he feels at 38 as though he still has a decade of enjoying his lifestyle and powering through with his career, and he's not ready for marriage and children. But he knows it has become a priority for me, so he is off.
Well, okay, how long were they together?
Did she say 10 years?
Over a decade.
Over a decade.
Okay, that sounds like a you problem, honey.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but that does. That sounds like a you problem.
Here I
the room,
hold on.
honey.
Oh, here's another quote. This one's from the woman. Here I am at 34, eggs twitching, ready for the marriage and parenthood stage of life.
Eggs twitching, legs twitching. Did you say
eggs?
Eggs twitching.
Eggs twitching.
I didn't know eggs twitched.
They do. Unexpectedly single and emotionally devastated. I am tipping into the furious phase of the grief cycle because I feel as though he owes me a big time and I want him to pay.
So did he lie to her? Is that what the point is? He
No,
lied?
it seems like they just came to a crossroads and he says, I don't really want to do children. I want to focus on the career.
Again, that's her problem. I mean, am I sounding heartless, Joan?
No, and I think that listening to her discussion, I think she's going to be single for a long time.
The woman further explained that she had made some career sacrifices to accommodate her ex's ambitions, as they had verbally agreed that he would be the primary earner should they have children. Now I feel like these compromises have left me vulnerable, and I am seeking compensation, she fumed. Yeah. Surely he should have some responsibility for helping me mitigate the damage to our plans caused by his change of heart and broken promises.
Well, I think that she made a choice. Sometimes you got to just, cut bait, lady.
Yeah.
Woman. Everything I say sounds like so sexist. Lady, woman,
Well, we're used to it.
chick,
Broad.
sweetheart.
Okay, the two of you.
Here's my
You're
thing.
on probation now.
I don't know what she's worried about. We watched Father of the Bride 2 the other night.
Okay.
Diane Keaton has a baby in that movie, and she's like almost in her 50s.
Huh.
So don't worry about it. I saw it.
You do know that was Hollywood, right?
I saw it in Father of the Bride 2. You'll be all right.
Well, sometimes the vasectomy doesn't work, and it happens that way.
Sometimes it doesn't take, Joan.
Yeah, come on, I know, I've heard this.
You can stop it.
It's statistically more proven than choking on peanut butter.
Right.
So I'll just let you know that. Statistically speaking, that happens more often than people choking on peanut butter, Dan.
Yeah, it happens. Oh, Dan, that's right.
There are numbers for that.
Got a vasectomy.
Yeah.
At least, are you going to test the waters and see if it worked, or what do you think? Are you too nervous now?
Well, unless I want a life of no intimacy with a little woman, then I'm going to have to test the waters at some point.
Going to have to test the waters
soon, I hope. I'm totally kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Man, we learned so much about you.
You know what? I love and hate these segments. Okay, but I'm going to throw this out at you, Chris Hand.
All right, throw it out.
And Joan Jones.
Yeah.
And Mason, who's conveniently staying quiet.
Yeah.
What if the man said to the woman, "Sure, I want to have kids. Let's try." But he had a vasectomy years ago.
Oh, the sneak vasectomy.
Yes. Like that can actually happen.
Sperm rates plummet.
So, no. But if that was the case, then does she have a right to sue?
Does she still think she's entitled to compensation if the boys can't swim? That's what you're getting at.
Well, if he lied and didn't tell her that he had a vasectomy and he is going through the motions of, trying to have a baby and he's saying, maybe this is the time, honey, and then it turns out he's been lying and that he can't father children, then I think that perhaps she has a claim.
Joan? That would be dastardly.
Men have done that.
I have a feeling this has a lot less to do with him wanting or not wanting children, a lot more to do with the woman that he was with. And this was just the convenient out.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that makes sense. But she's the nincompoop in the news, Murphy Show, who decided to stay with the guy for 10 years, and
the only thing that could make this worse is that they owned a dog together, and one of them wants custody. Those are always interesting fights.
It is stunning to me how many people. Do you know I had somebody in my life one time, many, many, many years ago, that said that they were staying with their spouse because they didn't want to give up the dog.
That's weird.
I said, wait, so you mean to tell me that you are going to stay in a marriage that is not working because you don't want to lose custody of a dog? Get another one.
That must have been an awesome dog. It's my only justification.
I guess. I don't think there's an awesomest
I didn't say it was
dog
good.
worth it to stay in a bad marriage.
Reasoning.
Yeah.
People are saying in this article that you need to focus on the 2-year rule. If the relationship's not going somewhere within 2 years, then you got to cut bait. That's the expiration date.
I think that's a good plan.
2 years?
2 years.
If 2 years, if you're in the zone, the baby zone.
They weren't married, right?
No.
So I mean.
Oh wait, no. I think they were married. Yes.
Okay.
She said boyfriend in the beginning.
Oh, you're right.
All right. So
I know.
So here's a clue. First of all, I don't know, maybe get married, but I think that if she spent too much time with him, that's the bottom line. She spent too much time with him. If she wanted kids, then she should have moved on down the road.
Plenty of fish, Dan.
There's plenty of fish in the sea. Maybe the lake too. Just stay away from Old Hickory because it's gross.
It's gross. Mm-hmm. We learned something today.
What's that?
Be careful with peanut butter.
Somebody said big peanut butter is the reason why we're not getting any statistics on peanut butter choking incidents.
Big peanut butter needs to be brought down.
Listen, I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yeah.
You got to watch out for that big peanut butter.
Or are the statistics coming out because of a big jam smear campaign?
Well, Big Jam has been partners with Big Peanut Butter for a long time.
Nutella's been trying to wedge their way into that relationship.
They sure have.
Do you know what I like with my peanut butter?
What's that?
Cheese.
What did you say?
Peanut butter and cheese.
Okay. I don't think we have enough time to unpack this.
So good.
I didn't know Joan was a commie.
It's gross.
So good.
Okay.
You should try it.
And
American cheese, like the kind of cheese that's not real cheese, American cheese.
And you reproduced and everything.
I did.
Okay.
that would have been the cut bait sign for me, I'll tell you that much.
Red flag. All right. Joan was coming up at 9.
We've got the latest information about the road rage shooting outside of a downtown courthouse yesterday. An update on the Maryland man. Also, 40 is open now outside of Lebanon. The roadway has now been reopened to traffic. That's coming up here at 9 o'clock.
All right, thank you, John. $8:54 at Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. By the way, the whole cheese and peanut butter thing, Joan?
Yeah.
I got 3 letters for you. WTF. That's what people are saying on the Super Text line.
Somebody else said I'm pregnant.
Yeah, people have questions.
It's like YouTube chat's agreeing with her.
People are thinking that, Joan, you're preggers.
Going full Diane Keaton and Father of the Bride, too.
Yeah. I can tell you this ticket window is closed. I'm not pregnant. So,
8:55 on Nashville's Morning News. The weather in Middle Tennessee can get crazy, which is why you need a backup home standby generator from my friends at the Generator Supercenter. They are the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. Get a free quote and get peace of mind when you have one installed. The Generator Supercenter does feature expert installation, 24-hour monitoring. They're not going to leave you in the dark. And yes, indeed, financing is available. 615-879-1952. Protect yourself, protect your family, and get a backup home standby generator from the Generator Supercenter. They're online, GeneratorSupercenterofNashville.com.
Brought to you by Dr. Friday Tax and Financial Firm.
8:57, Nashville's Morning News. Mark Spain Real Estate. Listen, if you found your perfect home, but you need to get out of your current home, call my friends at Mark Spain Real Estate. You're going to get the strongest cash offer in the industry. You're going to save time, make the most money, eliminate all the hassle, and move when you want to move. Now, Mark Spain Real Estate is the #1 most reviewed real estate company in America. They've got over 13,000 five-star reviews. You can trust my friends to sell your home fast, and yes, for maximum profit. And they've been helping homeowners sell their homes for nearly 30 years at Mark Spain Real Estate, and that terrific guaranteed offer. You can trust my friends to sell your home fast, and yes, for maximum profit. Call them, tell them Dan told you to reach out, 855-299-SOLD, 855-299-SOLD. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today. That's markspain.com and start packing.
Compensation, claiming he stole her childbearing years.
$8:59, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Chris Hand has oddly enough, the Chris Hand Show coming up later this morning.
Yes, and we are going to honor our veterans. I'm of the firm opinion that veterans get no respect. We get a whole month for Pride, but one day for Veterans Day, so we're going to do our best to honor our veterans here on the Chris Hand Show. We'll talk a little bit about the government shutdown. We'll talk about the disastrous interview that was Trump on Laura Ingraham last night, and why does the Trump administration continue to make unforced errors and piss off millennials and Gen Z voters? I don't understand. We'll talk about all that and more.
All right. Jones got the news next on WTN.